Part 54. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 534. Your foot is twisted, but the bones are not injured, so it's not a big problem. Li Hao looked at Li Xiaoqian's ankle and saw that Li Xiaoqian's ankle was just twisted. But it hurts. Li Xiaoqian said to Li Hao again after hearing this. Bear with it, it will be fine soon. Li Hao said to Li Xiaoqian again. The next moment, Li Hao actually hugged Li Xiaoqian by the waist, and his other hand went directly through the back of Li Xiaoqian's knees. Princess hug. Ah! Li Xiaoqian felt Li Hao's action and screamed again. She had never been hugged by a man like a princess. This was the first time. At this moment, she was in Li Hao's arms and she was very shy. Immediately, Li Xiaoqian buried her head in Li Hao's chest again, and she didn't dare to raise her head. This was a night market, and there were so many people around, still watching. Although shy, Li Xiaoqian felt extremely relieved. The next moment, Li Hao didn't care about the eyes of the people around him, especially the envy in the eyes of those men. Li Hao directly carried Li Xiaoqian and walked towards the Fat Brother barbecue stall not far away. Wow, you two are developing very fast. Going to the toilet, even holding a princess hug. Sun Yani saw Li Hao holding Li Xiaoqian back, her eyes were straight, and she said directly to the two of them, with a strange voice, as if she was happier than Li Hao and Li Xiaoqian to see the two of them like this. Yani, what are you talking about? I sprained my foot. Li Xiaoqian raised her head from Li Hao's chest, and explained to Sun Yani with a blushing face. You can't even walk because of your sprained foot? I understand, I understand. No need to explain. Ha ha ha. Sun Yani smiled and said, looking very understanding. Seeing Sun Yani's look, Li Xiaoqian was speechless. At this time, Li Hao came directly to the front of the chair, and then put Li Xiaoqian down in his arms and sat her on the chair. Then Li Hao pulled another chair from the side, and held Li Xiaoqian's feet directly, regardless of whether Li Xiaoqian agreed or not. Ah! What are you doing? Li Xiaoqian was shocked again when she felt Li Hao's action. Although she liked Li Hao and would not refuse anything Li Hao asked her to do, she was in public at the moment, with so many people watching, and she was still wearing a skirt. Of course I'm going to treat your feet. Don't worry, I'll just give you an injection. Li Hao was speechless when he heard Li Xiaoqian's words, and immediately said to Li Xiaoqian. Just one injection? How to inject? Hearing Li Hao's words, Li Xiaoqian and Sun Yani next to her had a strange look on their faces. The two women looked at each other and thought of something at the same time. Even Sun Yani's face was flushed. The next moment, Li Hao lifted up Li Xiaoqian's sprained foot, took off her shoes, and laid her flat on the chair in front of him. Then, Li Xiaoqian and Sun Yani saw that Li Hao had a jade needle in his hand. There was a glimmer of light on the jade needle, which looked unusual. They didn't know how it appeared, as if it came out of thin air. This scene shocked the two women. It's really a needle. Li Hao actually carried a needle with him. It will be fine soon. Li Hao took out a Tianqian 9 needle and said to Li Xiaoqian with a smile. As soon as the voice fell, Li Hao quietly activated his cultivation power, and the spiritual power of cultivation directly entered the jade needle. The next moment, Li Hao directly inserted the jade needle into Li Xiaoqian's injured ankle. Li Xiaoqian thought it would hurt a lot, but she didn't expect it to hurt at all. Immediately, another spiritual force entered Li Xiaoqian's body and directly treated the injured part. At this moment, Li Xiaoqian only felt that her sprained ankle was actually cold and no longer painful, as if it was healed. Only 2 minutes later, Li Hao pulled out the jade needle directly. Is it healed? Seeing Li Hao's action, Li Xiaoqian widened her eyes and asked Li Hao. What else? Stand up and try. Li Hao said directly. Li Xiaoqian was still a little unconvinced, and immediately tried to stand up. The next moment. Ah, it's really healed. It doesn't hurt at all. Li Xiaoqian's face was full of joy, and she said excitedly that she felt her foot was healed, completely healed. Wow, so magical. It was healed with just one injection. Li Hao, you are a miracle doctor, right? If I get injured in the future, I will ask you to give me an injection. Sun Yani next to him saw the scene and widened her eyes, full of surprise, and couldn't help but say to Li Hao. Haha, no problem. Li Hao said lightly. Then let's continue drinking. At this time, Sun Yani said to the two of them again. Yani, I'm really dizzy, I can't do it. I really can't drink anymore. Hearing Sun Yani's words, Li Xiaoqian said immediately, she was really scared. How much is this? This is. I haven't even finished drinking yet. Sun Yani murmured again. That's all, let's just stay here for today. I'm also here to be a light bulb. You can go and do whatever you want. Immediately, Sun Yani seemed to have thought of something, and immediately said directly. What kind of light bulb? Why should I go? Yani, what are you talking about? Li Xiaoqian heard this and murmured again. Of course, do what you two want to do. Seize the opportunity. After hearing Li Xiaoqian's words, Sun Yani came directly to Li Xiaoqian's side again, whispered to Li Xiaoqian in her ear, and even blinked at Li Xiaoqian. When Li Xiaoqian heard Sun Yani's words, her pretty face turned red with embarrassment. Yani. Li Xiaoqian couldn't help but stare at Sun Yani. But Sun Yani immediately smiled again and said to Li Hao, okay, I'll leave first. Li Hao, I'll leave Xiaoqian to you. Li Hao was also startled, but couldn't help but smile. Don't worry. I'm here. No surprise. Li Hao naturally knew what Sun Yani meant. What Sun Yani said quietly to Li Xiaoqian just now could not escape Li Hao's ears. Li Hao knew that Sun Yani was adding fuel to the fire and wanted Li Xiaoqian to go further with him. Li Hao, on the other hand, came to cover up the water and the earth. He would not refuse, and of course he would not take the initiative. We are not casual people. However, you still have to look at people when you are casual. Li Xiaoqian is the person Li Hao likes quite a lot. Not only is she good looking and has a good figure, but she is also so destined. Then I'm leaving. Li Hao, bye, take good care of Xiaoqian. Sun Yani immediately said to Li Hao and Li Hao. Are you okay? Li Hao asked again. Of course I'm fine. It's no problem if I drink another carton. But you can't drive after drinking. You can only call for a driver. Sun Yani replied again, and then left straight away. She really didn't look drunk at all, and her drinking capacity was really good. Watching Sun Yani leave, Li Hao didn't pay too much attention. There were quite a few substitute drivers, so there wouldn't be any problem. After Sun Yani stood up and left, Li Hao and Li Hao fell into a brief silence again. Li Xiaoqian lowered her head, not daring to look at Li Hao, and didn't know what she was thinking. Gone. When Li Hao saw this scene, he immediately said to Li Xiaoqian again. Fat brother, how much does it cost? Immediately, Li Hao looked at Fat brother, the owner of the barbecue stall, and asked Fat brother. How can you talk about money? You have helped me a lot. How can you charge me? I said, no matter when you come to my place for barbecue, it will be enough. You don't want a penny. When the fat man heard this, he immediately said to Li Hao again, as if he was determined not to accept any money from Li Hao. How can this be done? You are doing business. How can you do business without charging money? Li Hao said in a deep voice again, although this fat brother's business is very good, but he is in business, how can he not make money? What's more, Li Hao is not short of this little money. If you say no, Then don't. Do you look down on me? Although I'm just a barbecue griller, I still have principles. If you really look down on me, then just pay. Fat brother immediately said to Li Hao again. Li Hao was speechless when he heard what this fat brother said. All right. Li Hao nodded immediately and said that he didn't insist. Everyone had said it for this reason. It would not be good if he persisted. Well, I have a talisman here. If you wear it on your body, it can ward off disasters and solve problems. It can be used as money for this barbecue. Li Hao said directly again, and then took out a talisman from the system world. This talisman was one of the many talismans refined and carved by Li Hao. It has the effect of eliminating disasters and resolving problems, but stay safe. Li Hao directly handed the disaster-repelling talisman to the fat brother. Fu Swan? Okay. No problem. Then I'll accept it. When fat brother heard Li Hao's words, he immediately had a look of surprise on his face. He couldn't help but cast his eyes on this disaster-repelling talisman. He was a person who didn't believe in ghosts, gods, or Buddhas. For things like talismans and seals, he didn't catch a cold, so he didn't pay much attention immediately. He just took the talisman and put it away. What he didn't know was that the talisman he had would one day save him from a life crisis in a few months. What he didn't even know was that if he sold the talisman, he would probably be killed. It caused a huge sensation and even sold for tens of millions. When Li Hao saw the other party's actions, he smiled and said directly to Li Xiaoqian beside him. Let's go. Okay. Li Xiaoqian was startled again when she heard Li Hao's words, and followed Li Hao obediently, but before taking 2 steps, Li Xiaoqian still felt dizzy. Her drinking capacity is not good, and the drink she drank today has already exceeded her limit. So dizzy. Li Xiaoqian murmured, swaying a little as she walked. When Li Hao saw this scene, he immediately hugged Li Xiaoqian and supported her. Li Xiaoqian felt Li Hao's movements and warm arms, and immediately felt a huge sense of security, and a bright and touching crimson color appeared on her pretty face. But soon, Li Xiaoqian regained consciousness and said weakly to Li Hao. Where are we going? When Li Hao heard Li Xiaoqian's question, he immediately turned his head to look at Li Xiaoqian, smiled and said to Li Xiaoqian, what do you think? Where do you want to go? Li Xiaoqian felt Li Hao's hot eyes, and a trace of panic suddenly appeared in her heart. There was a little deer in her heart that kept bumping around. She didn't know what to do. She was faintly timid, but she was still looking forward to it and a little nervous. In short, at this moment, Li Xiaoqian felt very complicated inside. I don't know. You can go anywhere. Li Xiaoqian immediately said weakly again. Ha ha. When Li Hao heard this, he immediately laughed again and said directly to Li Xiaoqian. Let's go, get in the car. Well. Do you want to drive? Do you want to drink and drive? When Li Xiaoqian heard this, she immediately nodded again, but soon she came to her senses and couldn't help but ask Li Hao in surprise. Wasn't Li Hao drunk like her? How can I still drive? No, I'm not a drunk driver. I drink just like water, I won't get drunk. It can't be detected, so it doesn't exist. Li Hao immediately said directly to Li Xiaoqian. How is this possible? Li Xiaoqian's eyes widened, still not convinced. Do you believe me? Li Hao looked at Li Xiaoqian again and said seriously. When Li Xiaoqian heard Li Hao's words, she felt Li Hao's eyes, and her heart was filled with waves. The next moment, Li Xiaoqian nodded heavily, trusting Li Hao inexplicably, no matter what he did. When Li Hao heard this, he couldn't help but feel moved in his heart. Tell you a secret. Li Hao said to Li Xiaoqian with a smile again. What secret? Li Xiaoqian looked at Li Hao curiously. Actually, I am not an ordinary person, I am an immortal cultivator. Li Hao said to Li Xiaoqian in a deep voice, wanting to see Li Xiaoqian's surprised expression. However, when Li Xiaoqian heard Li Hao's words, she nodded heavily and said, as if she was convinced. Li Hao was stunned when he saw this. This girl was not surprised at all. All right. Li Hao said lightly, feeling a little speechless in his heart. At this time, Li Hao had another idea in his mind: he must make this Li Xiaoqian scream later. Get in the car. Soon, the two of them arrived at the Lamborghini Poison. Li Hao opened the car door directly, and then helped Li Xiaoqian get into the passenger seat. When this scene fell into the eyes of the people around them, their eyes were a little bright, especially in the beautiful eyes of some women. There was even a touch of envy. It would be great if they were the ones to get in the passenger seat. The next moment, Li Hao himself got into the car and started the car. Rumble. Suddenly, the roar of the supercar was loud again. Then, Lamborghini Poison carried Li Hao and Li Xiaoqian and left under the envious eyes of countless people. God level tip: report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 535. I want to take you to have some fun, to have some fun. In the Lamborghini Poison, the music started to sound. It was the song of the god of songs. Under the bright night and the gorgeous neon lights, the Lamborghini Poison was speeding on the road. There were not many cars on the road in the middle of the night, and the Lamborghini Poison was also very fast. The scene outside the window is whizzing by, listening to the beautiful music, and the wind blowing. It's a unique feeling. I feel so dizzy. Where are we going, Li Hao? In the passenger seat? Li Xiaoqian asked Li Hao directly. I want to take you to have some fun. When Li Hao heard Li Xiaoqian's words, he immediately showed a faint smile, looked at Li Xiaoqian and said directly. Li Xiaoqian thought Li Hao was joking. But, the next moment, Li Hao drove a Lamborghini and drove Li Xiaoqian straight away. Not long after, the two came to the riverside. Li Hao stopped the Lamborghini Poison directly, and then the two got out of the car. Ahead, the surging river sparkled under the night lights. On the other side of the river, there were tall buildings shining with bustling lights. Hurrah! I want to take you to have some fun. Li Hao actually took Li Xiaoqian to the riverside to enjoy the breeze. The wind on the riverside was very strong, blowing Li Xiaoqian's hair constantly swaying, and a bright and moving color appeared on her pretty red face. Looking at Li Xiaoqian's side face, Li Hao's heart was slightly agitated. Beautiful. Really beautiful. Wow, the night is so beautiful. Feeling the wind blowing on her face, Li Xiaoqian woke up a lot. Looking at the beautiful night under the night sky, Li Xiaoqian couldn't help but sigh again. Although the night is beautiful, it is not as beautiful as the people. After hearing Li Xiaoqian's words, Li Hao smiled faintly and said directly. When Li Xiaoqian next to her heard Li Hao's words, she couldn't help but feel a slight movement in her heart. She immediately turned her pretty face to look at Li Hao. At this moment, Li Hao was also so handsome under the night. Is Li Hao confessing to himself? Li Hao felt Li Xiaoqian's eyes and looked directly at Li Xiaoqian at this moment. Immediately, the two people's eyes met, but there was a strange emotion growing in their hearts. At this moment, Li Hao also felt an impulse in his heart. It's hard to be in love. The next moment, Li Hao couldn't help but tilt his head forward, his face getting closer and closer, the distance between the two getting closer and closer, and in the end it was less than 10 centimeters. At this moment, when Li Xiaoqian saw Li Hao's movements, she felt a sense of panic in her heart, as if there was a deer bumping around in her heart, and she was extremely nervous. What is Li Hao doing? Li Xiaoqian was a little confused, but there was a hint of expectation. She also likes Li Hao, Li Xiaoqian is extremely sure. Immediately afterwards, Li Xiaoqian felt another hand directly hugging her slender and soft waist. It was Li Hao. Li Hao directly stretched out his hand and hugged her in his arms. That's all. Li Xiaoqian couldn't help but said to herself, since she is the person she likes, why should she refuse? The next moment, Li Xiaoqian couldn't help but close her eyes again. Then, there was no longer any distance between their lips. At this moment, Li Xiaoqian's mind was shocked, and her whole body felt as if she had been electrocuted. Her body was a little weak, and her head was buzzing, but she felt like she was dreaming again. She has never been like this with a boy. I haven't even held a boy's hand. It took a while before the two separated. An extremely blushing color appeared on Li Xiaoqian's pretty face, and her whole body looked delicate and charming. The feeling just now was something she had never felt before. Therefore, at this moment, Li Xiaoqian felt so surprised and so happy. Is this what a kiss feels like? Li Xiaoqian felt that she was obsessed with this feeling. At this moment, there was a lingering feeling in her heart, but she did not dare to look at Li Hao, and her whole head was buried in Li Hao's chest. Li Hao looked at Li Xiaoqian in his arms, and a bright smile appeared on his face. However, the next moment, the smile on Li Hao's face froze and his brows wrinkled. Because at this moment, Li Hao felt that some people were coming towards him not far away, and these people had sticks and even watermelon knives in their hands. He was menacing and looked like he was coming with bad intentions. Soon, these people came to Li Hao and Li Xiaoqian and surrounded them, with a fierce look on their faces. It's him, this kid. I was injured by him. Brother Biao, you must help me take revenge. When a voice came from among these figures, Li Hao discovered that there was a guy in a wheelchair among these figures. He was speaking out to another bald man next to him. Said. The guy in the wheelchair turned out to be one of the two guys Li Hao had injured not long ago, and his name seemed to be Zhang Qiang. But at this moment, Zhang Qiang's body was covered with bandages, and he was wrapped like a mummy, looking a little miserable. Zhang Qiang's eyes looked at Li Hao, filled with incomparable resentment. Boy, you're dead. You dare to hit me. I'm going to make you pay a heavy price today. Don't you know that my eldest brother is Brother Biao? At this moment, Zhang Qiang looked at Li Hao again and said in a deep voice. Before, after he and his brother were beaten by Li Hao, it took a long time for them to wake up, and then they quietly left here and went to the pharmacy to bandage their injuries. Then Zhang Qiang told his eldest brother about his injury. His eldest brother was a gangster, with many people under him, and there was this big guy behind him. In Jiangbei, no one dared to mess with his eldest brother. After he told his eldest brother about his injury, his eldest brother did not disappoint him. He rushed over with a group of younger brothers to avenge his brothers. Oh! Come to revenge. When Li Hao heard the other party's words, a strange color appeared in his eyes, and a coldness appeared in his heart. He was still sweet with Li Xiaoqian here, but the beautiful atmosphere was destroyed by these people at this moment. Li Hao was a little angry, and the consequences were serious. Li Hao. At this moment, Li Xiaoqian, who was beside Li Hao, saw this scene and looked at these ferocious people. Her pretty face, which was originally a little blushing, turned pale at this moment. Obviously, Li Xiaoqian was also frightened by these people. Don't worry, it's okay. I'm here. Li Hao directly hugged Li Xiaoqian in his arms again, and then patted Li Xiaoqian's back gently, and said softly, with a hint of no doubt in his voice. When these words reached Li Xiaoqian's ears, Li Xiaoqian immediately felt an incomparable sense of security in her heart, as if Li Hao was holding up the sky when it fell. The next moment, Li Hao let go of Li Xiaoqian again, and then blocked Li Xiaoqian and pulled her aside. Just sit here and watch. Li Hao directly asked Li Xiaoqian to sit down. Then, Li Hao looked at the people in front of him again. These people were all wearing black vests, and there were more than 10 of them. The leader was actually a bald man, who was standing next to Zhang Qiang. This bald man was also very strong. He was wearing a black vest, and his chest and arms were all tattooed. The azure dragon on the left, the white tiger on the right, and the vermilion bird in front of him had the aura of a big brother. However, looking at this bald man, Li Hao's eyes suddenly condensed again, just because he had seen and recognized this man in front of him. As a master and a cultivator, Li Hao naturally has the ability to remember everything he has seen. He must remember the people he has seen. This bald man seems to be called Zhao Debiao. And this person in front of him, Li Hao not only saw him, but also beat him up. It seems that he had dinner and singing with several brothers in the dormitory and several other girls. Later, his brother and the other brother had a conflict, and this bald man also helped the other party. It's quite predestined. A faint smile suddenly appeared on Li Hao's face. It's you. You hurt my brother. At this moment, the arrogant voice of Zhao Debiao was heard again. Zhao Debiao looked at the guy in front of him fiercely, and his figure was not very clear in the night. Zhao Debiao came here this time to stand up for his brother. When he heard that his brother was beaten, he immediately called more than 10 people to rush over. In Zhao Debiao's view, if his brother was beaten and he didn't stand up, then no one would follow him in the future. And the people he brought were enough, plus he himself, he was still a warrior, and the other party couldn't beat them even if he was good at fighting. That's right. What if it's me? What? You want to stand up for him? He pretended to be me, shouldn't he be beaten? At this time, Li Hao said lightly again, but there was a touch of calmness in his voice. When Zhao Debiao heard Li Hao's words, his face was filled with strange colors. This voice seemed familiar, as if he had heard it somewhere before, but he couldn't remember it for a moment, and the other party was facing away from the light, so he couldn't see his appearance clearly. Where had he seen him before? Zhao Debiao couldn't help but wonder in his heart, but at this moment in front of many brothers, he had to show his domineering spirit, so Zhao Debiao didn't care so much, didn't think too much, and directly said to the front in a stern voice. That's right. I'm going to stand up for my brother. Today, you must give an explanation. Zhao Debiao's voice was also extremely cold, and the figures next to him looked at Li Hao with a cold face at this moment, pretending to be ready to take action at any time. Come on, kill him first. At this time, Zhao Debiao said directly to Li Hao again. Immediately, Zhao Debiao's men heard this, holding the machetes and iron bars in their hands and rushed forward, ready to take action directly. However, it happened again at this moment. Zhao Debiao, are you looking for death? Don't you recognize me? Have you forgotten how you got beaten last time? A voice came from the front again, and it reached Zhao Debiao's ears, which immediately shocked Zhao Debiao's heart. He felt more and more familiar with this voice, and the other party could actually call out his name. Suddenly, a car rushed past not far away, and the lights flashed. Zhao Debiao instantly saw the face of the figure in front of him. It was a face that made him unforgettable. His. At this moment, Zhao Debiao suddenly took a breath of cold air, and the whole person was struck by lightning, and his heart was also greatly shocked. It turned out to be him. It turned out to be him. How could it be him? At this moment, Zhao Debiao was a little flustered. The guy in front of him was the existence of dozens of his brothers at that time, just because the other party was not an ordinary person at all, but a cultivator. Even if he went up, he would only be a serving dish. At this moment, Zhao Debiao felt a little scared, he was afraid. Stop! Zhao Debiao hurriedly shouted to his men, trying to stop his men from taking action. However, he was still a step slower, and his men had already rushed to the front of the figure. Boom! The next moment, the terrible scene appeared again, and there seemed to be a roar in the void. Then, bang 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 bang. The figures were blown away to the back. Puff. Puff. Ah. Ah. Dot. Immediately, the sound of blood spurting came from these figures, accompanied by extremely painful screams. The next moment, these figures fell to the distance like birds with broken wings. Ah! My hand! It hurts so much. My leg is broken. Help! Dot. On the ground, groaning sounds continued to sound, and screams were endless. At this time, there was only one person standing in front of Li Hao, and that was Zhao Debiao. There was no one else. At this moment, Zhao Debiao had a look of horror on his face, and his eyes were filled with extreme fear. He was not feeling well. Even Zhang Qiang, who was in a wheelchair next to him, opened his mouth wide with a look of horror. How could this happen? How could this happen? Zhang Qiang said in a lost voice. He was really frightened by the scene in front of him. He didn't even see how the other party attacked. It was still the same as when he was blown away before. The other party still stood quietly in the same place, as if he had never attacked. This scene was something Zhang Qiang had never thought of. Is the other party also a warrior? But at this moment, Zhang Qiang thought of his elder brother Zhao Debiao, who was also a warrior and had not yet attacked. Zhao Debiao. Are you going to attack me? But at this moment, Zhang Qiang saw that the man in front of him spoke slowly. Then, a scene that made Zhang Qiang unbelievable and terrified appeared again. Bang! A crisp sound rang out, which was the sound of the kneecap hitting the ground. Only seeing that the elder brother Zhao Debiao beside him, after hearing the other party's words, actually knelt straight down towards the other party. How is this possible? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 536. The next moment, Zhang Qiang saw again that his eldest brother had a look of extreme fear, and then said with sincerity. Brother Hao? Brother Hao, I was wrong. I can't see Taishan. I didn't know you were here. Please, let me go. Misunderstanding, this is a misunderstanding. Zhao Debiao knelt on the ground, without any of his previous arrogance, and begged Li Hao. Seeing this scene, Zhang Qiang, who was sitting next to him in a wheelchair, felt his head buzzing. His eldest brother actually knelt down in front of him, so fearful of him. This scene was simply beyond his imagination. Zhang Qiang's complexion couldn't help but turn pale again, and he felt instantly cold inside. What does the scene say? Needless to say, it's hit a brick wall. This guy turned out to be a character that even his elder brother was afraid of. What a tragedy. Misunderstanding? Haha. When Li Hao heard what the other party said, he couldn't help but sneered again. That's not what you said just now? Aren't you going to stand up for your brother? Come on, I'll give you a chance. Li Hao said directly to Zhao Debiao coldly, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. Didn't I know it was you? If I knew it was you here, I wouldn't come even if you gave me 100 courages. Brother Hao, you don't remember the faults of villains, please spare my life. Hearing Li Hao's words, Zhao Debiao was immediately frightened to the extreme. He quickly begged to Li Hao and kowtowed to Li Hao. Seeing the other party kowtow continuously, Li Hao couldn't feel the slightest emotion in his heart. Li Hao really couldn't feel any sympathy for this kind of person. Get up. Li Hao said directly to Zhao Debiao again. Zhao Debiao was immediately overjoyed when he heard Li Hao's words. Thank you, Brother Hao. Thank you, Brother Hao. He thought Li Hao had let him go, so he stood up from the ground. Immediately, Zhao Debiao turned his attention to Zhang Qiang next to him. Damn it, it's all this guy. How dare you cheat me? Go to hell. Zhao Deibiao's eyes when he looked at Zhang Qiang instantly became fierce and filled with resentment. When Zhao Deibiao kicked Zhang Qiang directly, he vented all his anger on Zhang Qiang. It seems that if it weren't for this guy, how could he hit this evil star again? How could these brothers be beaten like this? Therefore, everything is Zhang Qiang's fault. Zhang Qiang was directly kicked to the ground by Zhao Deibiao, and he let out another scream of pain. Ah! Brother Biao, I was wrong. You go around me. Zhang Qiang said in shock again. Bang bang bang. But what greeted him was another shock of punches and kicks, and Zhao Deibiao's attacks were not ruthless. He just beat him to death and stepped on Zhang Qiang's head. The old wounds have not healed, but new ones have been added. Soon, Zhang Qiang's body was covered with blood, his entire face was trampled to a disfigurement, and he seemed to have fainted. Li Hao looked at this scene, but did not stop him at all. For such a person, this is what he deserves. As for that Zhao Deibiao, after doing all this, Zhao Deibiao looked at Li Hao again. Brother Hao? It was all a misunderstanding just now. This guy is the one who harmed me. I'm leaving now. Zhao Deibiao immediately said to Li Hao again, ignoring the men on the ground and preparing to leave directly. But at this time, Li Hao's voice came directly again. Did I let you go? Ah! When Zhao Deibiao heard Li Hao's words, he was shocked again, his expression changed immediately, he felt bad, and he quickly said to Li Hao again. Brother Hao, weren't you just? I just asked you to stand up, but I didn't say I would spare you. Li Hao said directly and calmly. Hearing Li Hao's words, Zhao Deibiao's face suddenly turned pale again. This. A look of horror appeared on Zhao Deibiao's face again. The next moment, Zhao Deibiao was shocked to see that Li Hao in front of him pointed straight at him, and then another spiritual light shot towards him. At this moment, Zhao Deibiao had horror in his eyes, and incomparable despair in his heart. The speed of this spiritual light was extremely fast, making it impossible for him to avoid it. Ah! Immediately, this spiritual light struck Zhao Deibiao, and a painful cry suddenly came from Zhao Deibiao's mouth. Zhao Deibiao's body was also blown away directly towards the rear, and soon fell to the ground again, not knowing whether he was alive or dead. Li Hao did not directly kill Zhao Deibiao, but he deposed him. This Zhao Deibiao was originally a warrior, and his body was much stronger than ordinary people. However, under Li Hao's finger, Zhao Deibiao was directly destroyed by Li Hao. Many meridians in his body were broken. Can he still stand? It's a problem even when you get up, let alone doing evil. Li Hao was not a murderous person, so he did not kill the opponent directly, but the opponent did not deserve sympathy. If he let him go easily, he would be afraid of returning to harm others, so Li Hao was very decisive and killed the opponent directly. Okay. It's okay. After doing all this, Li Hakai looked at Li Xiaoqian behind him. At this moment, Li Xiaoqian's beautiful eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. It's amazing. So many people, but they lay down in an instant. Is this something that ordinary people can do? This is beyond Li Xiaoqian's imagination. Li Hao. Are you really a cultivator? Li Xiaoqian was stunned, and asked Li Hao in disbelief. At this moment, she finally believed what Li Hao said before. Of course. Li Hao said to Li Xiaoqian with a smile. Hearing Li Hao's words, Li Xiaoqian's heart was shaken again, and her beautiful eyes were filled with great surprise. Let's go. The next moment, Li Hao said directly to Li Xiaoqian. Li Xiaoqian nodded softly. Then, the two of them got on the Lamborghini Venom again. But as soon as he got in the car, looking at Li Xiaoqian sitting in the passenger seat, that beautiful and moving appearance, and recalling the feeling just now, Li Hao's heart couldn't help but move again, and his eyes were filled with a touch of heat. Li Xiaoqian, who was standing next to him, naturally felt Li Hao's burning gaze, and immediately felt a little flustered, but she didn't dare to look at Li Hao's eyes. The next moment, Li Hao didn't hesitate at all, and his lips slowly moved towards Li Xiaoqian's pretty mouth. Soon, Li Xiaoqian's mouth was blocked. So, there was another sweet moment, until a few minutes passed. No. A voice came out of Li Xiaoqian's mouth again, which made Li Hao sober up a little. The next moment, Li Hao let go of Li Xiaoqian reluctantly. No. Li Hao looked at Li Xiaoqian and couldn't help asking in surprise again, even his eyes became cold and his face sank. Before, who said he wanted to thank me? Don't I have the final say? As soon as Li Hao said this, coupled with this expression, Li Xiaoqian thought Li Hao was angry, and her heart was immediately panicked, and she immediately said again. No, but it won't work here. As soon as Li Xiaoqian said this, Li Hao smiled again and said directly. Ha. That's easy. Then change the place. Boom. The next moment, the roar of the car resounded again, and then the Lamborghini Venom sped away again. Where are we going? Li Xiaoqian sat in the co-pilot seat. Her heart was as flustered as a deer, but she had a faint expectation, unable to refuse, and didn't want to refuse, so she asked Li Hao beside her. What do you think? When Li Hao heard Li Xiaoqian's words, he immediately looked at Li Xiaoqian with a smile. When Li Xiaoqian heard this, a blush appeared on her pretty face. Of course, we go to a spacious place. Li Hao said lightly again, and said no more. Just over 10 minutes later, the Lamborghini Venom arrived at the gate of Shangri-La Hotel again. Li Xiaoqian had already thought of this place, but when she saw the Shangri-La Creek Hotel, she was still a little upset. Even though it was midnight, there were still security and reception staff at the entrance of the hotel. They were all working in shifts, and working in this 5-star hotel, even if they were just security guards and receptionists, their professional quality was still very high, so their salary was not bad. It's Mr. Li's car. When this Lamborghini Veneno appeared here, the security and reception staff at the door were suddenly shocked. As the global executive president of Yuhao Group and the big boss behind the Shangri-La Creek Hotel, everyone in the Shangri-La Creek Hotel had Li Hao's appearance in their heads, and Li Hao had come to the Shangri-La Creek Hotel many times, and this Lamborghini Veneno had appeared several times, so they were naturally very familiar with it. When they saw the car appear, they knew that it was the CEO of Yuhao Group. He was a real boss. They immediately became alert and reported the matter to the hotel's duty manager on the intercom. The next moment, Li Hao took Li Xiaoqian down from the Lamborghini Venetian. When they saw that there was another goddess next to Li Hao, the security guards and reception staff at the door were shocked. Mr. Li actually brought another goddess. And this goddess was not anyone who had driven before. Sure enough, rich people can have any goddess they want. Mr. Li. Hello, Mr. Li. Mr. Li. When Li Hao and Li Xiaoqian came over, a man in a suit ran over. He was the hotel's duty manager, followed by several people. Even the hotel's front desk came over to greet Li Hao and shouted to him respectfully. This scene, when seen by Li Xiaoqian, made her feel extremely surprised again. She became more and more curious about Li Hao's identity, but Li Xiaoqian did not ask more questions. Is the room ready? Li Hao nodded and asked the duty manager again. It's ready. Mr. Li, this is your room card. The duty manager took the room card directly from the customer service beauty and handed it to Li Hao with both hands. Li Hao took the room card and nodded. Well done. Li Hao said lightly, expressing his satisfaction. The next moment, Li Hao took Li Xiaoqian to the elevator. Wow, Mr. Li is so handsome. Watching the two people walk into the elevator, the customer service staff's eyes were full of envy, and said, it would be nice to have a boyfriend like this. He is handsome. But he is a bit too bad, right? How many times has Mr. Lee brought goddesses to our hotel? Next to him, another beautiful customer service staff said. What if he is a bad guy? When I meet a man like Mr. Lee, I like to be a bad guy by him. Okay. You want Mr. Lee to be a bad guy, but Mr. Lee may not like it. Go back to work. The duty manager heard the words of the two customer service girls and immediately felt speechless in his heart, and directly said to the two people. Li Hao, why do they call you Mr. Li? In the elevator, Li Xiaoqian asked Li Hao curiously. Haha, didn't I tell you? I opened several hotels. So this hotel is mine. Hearing this, Li Hao smiled faintly and said to Li Xiaoqian again. Li Xiaoqian was even more shocked when she heard what Li Hao said. This 5-star hotel that ranks among the top 3 in Jiangbei actually belongs to Li Hao. No wonder Li Hao is so rich. Without any obstruction, Li Hao and Li Xiaoqian went directly to the presidential suite on the top floor of the hotel. As soon as she entered the room, Li Xiaoqian was shocked by the luxury of the room in front of her. Presidential suite. It's actually a presidential suite. Luxurious master bedroom, leather sofa, private cinema, game room, massage area, marble bathroom, and wide balcony. Standing on the balcony, you can overlook the entire Jiangbei and take in the night view of Jiangbei. Luxurious. It's really luxurious. Li Xiaoqian didn't expect Li Hao to bring her to this presidential suite. Li Xiaoqian's family conditions are very ordinary. She only made some money after the live broadcast became popular. She has never lived in such a luxurious presidential suite since she was a child. Just when Li Xiaoqian was looking at the luxurious decoration of the presidential suite in front of her and was shocked, a pair of hands hugged Li Xiaoqian directly from behind. Who else but Li Hao? It's quite spacious here now, is it okay? Li Hao's voice came to Li Xiaoqian's ears. Feeling Li Hao's embrace, and hearing these words, Li Xiaoqian's whole pretty face and neck were instantly blushing. Huh. Li Xiaoqian took a deep breath, calmed her heart, made a great decision, and then nodded. Yeah. At this moment, Li Xiaoqian did not refuse again, and faced her heart directly. Li Xiaoqian was sure that she liked Li Hao, and she had never thought of liking a boy like this. Since she liked him, she would give him everything she had. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 537. At this moment, Li Xiaoqian faced her heart and did not refuse. The next moment, Li Hao directly picked up Li Xiaoqian and went to the room. Not long after, Li Xiaoqian's cry rang out in the room. Take her down. A sleepless night. The two of them didn't know how long they had been tossing and turning until the early morning when Li Xiaoqian fell into a deep sleep. As for Li Hao, he was still energetic and refreshed. From now on, Li Xiaoqian was his woman. Looking at Li Xiaoqian sleeping on the bed, Li Hao's eyes were full of tenderness. Li Hao stretched out his hand and gently touched Li Xiaoqian's pretty face. Then, Li Hao put on his clothes and left here directly. Li Hao was not worried about Li Xiaoqian's safety. Li Hao had left a trace of consciousness on Li Xiaoqian's body. No matter how far away, Li Hao could clearly feel Li Xiaoqian's safety. Moreover, Li Xiaoqian is different now. When she had the most intimate relationship with Li Hao also used the Qinqin Yin Yang Gongfa, which made Li Xiaoqian's body transform directly and become completely different. In addition, a cultivation foundation was born in Li Xiaoqian's Danshan. In other words, Li Xiaoqian has become a foundation-building cultivator now. Ordinary people are not Li Xiaoqian's opponents. Li Hao left the hotel directly and drove the Lamborghini Venom to school. Li Hao has nothing to do recently. He hasn't been to school for a long time. Li Hao misses his brothers very much, so he went directly to Jiangbei University. The weather today is also very good. The scenery of Jiangbei University, which is backed by mountains and water, is also very beautiful. At this moment, a Lamborghini Venom appeared at the gate of Jiangbei University. It was so dazzling in the sun, this appearance attracted countless students from Jiangbei University to cast strange eyes. Wow! It's a Lamborghini. This car is so cool. Who is this rich second generation? This car must be worth millions, right? I wish I had a car like this. The exclamations came from the mouths of these Zhang University students, and many of them had a hint of envy in their eyes. This car has appeared in our school many times. Do you know it now? It's Li Hao's car. Who is Li Hao? Very awesome, right? You don't even know Li Hao? Then teacher Ye Xiun must know, right? Of course I know, she is the goddess of our school. This Li Hao is teacher Ye's rumored boyfriend. What? It's the legendary guy. It's him. The next moment, some people had seen this Lamborghini Venezia many times, and some people knew that it was Li Hao's car. The picture of this car had already appeared on the campus network and Sticky Bar. Of course, some people had never heard of Li Hao's Tomorrow, but when someone said that he was Ye Xiun's rumored boyfriend, the next moment, Li Hao's name became well known again, causing quite a stir. Li Hao drove the Lamborghini Venom into the school without any hindrance. The security guards at the school gate were already very familiar with Li Hao, and they knew that this guy was someone that even the principal couldn't afford to offend. Last time, the city chiefs and the big guys of the garrison came here for this guy. The power of this guy driving a Lamborghini was so strong that it was unbelievable. It was definitely not something that a security guard like him could afford to offend. So whenever Li Hao's car appeared in the distance, the security guards opened the gate and stood up straight with a look of respect on their faces. Li Hao drove the car directly to the school parking lot, and then took out his mobile phone to check. The time was just right, and it would be time for class in more than 10 minutes. So, Li Hao checked his class schedule in the class group again, and after confirming which classroom this class was in, Li Hao went directly to the classroom. This was another public class. When Li Hao came to the lecture hall, there were already many people sitting in the classroom. Li Hao found Wu Chao and the other two in a corner at the back of the classroom. As soon as the three sat down, they took out their mobile phones to play. Chen Tao and Wu Chao were playing PUBG with headphones, and Xiaoji was chatting with some girl. The next moment, Li Hao quietly sat down next to Wu Chao. Wu Chao hadn't reacted yet, and then he glanced at the person next to him inadvertently. Mouse. You actually came to class again? I thought you were expelled from school. Wu Chao was stunned for a moment, but he burst out a swear word in an instant, and said to Li Hao in surprise. At this moment, Chen Tao and Xiaoji, who were standing next to him, heard Wu Chao's words and turned around to see Li Hao. Huzi, brother Hao, you are finally back to class. Have I forgotten about my brothers? Chen Tao was also very excited when he saw Li Hao. As for Xiaoji, he didn't say anything, but the look in his eyes showed that he was also very shocked. At this moment, many students in the classroom cast surprised glances at Li Hao. When they saw that it was Li Hao, these students were also extremely shocked. It's actually Li Hao. He's more handsome than in the photo. Oh my god, is he Li Hao? Is he the strong master who last time was regarded as a young general? He is the newly promoted Grand Master of Dewa. He is actually our classmate. The appearance of Li Hao directly caused everyone in the classroom to make extremely shocking noises. Just because of the name Li Hao, Jiangbei University has been extremely loud recently. Li Hao didn't care about other people's voices or looks. To be honest, Li Hao didn't even know a few of his classmates. Haha, how is it possible? It's impossible to forget your brother even if you forget your girlfriend. Li Hadang said to Wu Chao and the others again. Haha, that's pretty much it? Brother, enough. Chen Tao said directly. Come on, we have to get together today. Brother G is treating us tonight? Hee hee. Next to him, Wu Chao said with a smile again. As he spoke, he looked at Xiaoji, who had put down his mobile phone, and gave Xiaoji a look that you know. Okay. It's a treat, Brother Chao, you've said it several times. Xiaoji was speechless and said directly to Wu Chao, very cheerfully. In their dormitory, you call me brother and I call you brother, regardless of big or small. Huh? What's going on? Is there anything good? When Li Hao saw this scene, there was a look of surprise in his eyes, and he couldn't help but ask again. Haha, Brother Hao, you don't know, Brother G is dating a girlfriend. At this time, Chen Tao on the side said to Li Hao again. You're dating a girlfriend? Isn't this strange? Doesn't Brother G always have many girlfriends? Li Hao looked puzzled and asked again. As far as Li Hao knew, this Xiaoji was a playboy. He couldn't be any more scumbag, even scummier than himself. Usually, this guy was always those who didn't go back to the dormitory were either renting a room or on their way to a room. And as far as Li Hao knew, this Xiaoji had flirted with several girls at the same time, and they all had intimate relationships. There's nothing surprising about this kind of thing, right? Do you still need to treat me? When Xiaoji heard Li Hao's words, he couldn't help but be speechless, with a dark look on his face. No, it's the kind of relationship that's confirmed. Brother G doesn't want any other girlfriends, he only wants that one. At this time, Wu Chao next to him also spoke out. Hearing Wu Chao's words, Li Hadang let out another cry of surprise. Zhen, isn't this Brother G's style? Li Hao immediately said again. Soon, a few people were chatting in a lively manner, talking about everything that had happened between the brothers recently, and Li Hao also roughly knew what happened to Xiaoji. Probably, Xiaoji met a girl he really liked, and then chased her for more than a month, and even spent hundreds of thousands on that girl. Finally, 2 days ago, at her birthday party, confessed his love to the other party and directly gave him a BMW, and the other party finally agreed to become friends with Xiaoji. But even now, what is surprising is that Xiaoji has only held the other person's hand, and has not even kissed him on the lips. As a result, Xiaoji even threw away all the boats he was originally on. The story is quite twisty, but the outcome is good. I didn't expect that Brother G actually changed his ways. No, 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 it's the prodigal son who has turned back. Li Hao was also extremely surprised by this. He really didn't expect that Xiaoji would be so dedicated. Oh, let me tell you. Brother G, you are also serious. Isn't it good to keep so many girlfriends? Why give up a forest and hang on a tree? Really? Next to him, when Chen Tao heard this, he let out a long sigh again. It's really annoying to compare people to each other. Xiaoji has so many girlfriends and he doesn't want one, but he is a perfect Neptune, but he is still an old bachelor? Thinking of this makes me feel a little sad, and besides being envious, I am still envious. Isn't that right? You should think about it for people like me who can't have a girlfriend, right? On the side, Wu Chao also said there. Didn't you already do it last time? Why are you still single? Hearing this, Li Hao couldn't help but ask Wu Chao again, remember the last time he had a friendship with the girls from the normal school, what a good opportunity it was. Wu Chao seemed to have a girl he liked at that time, and the chance was very high. This guy actually didn't you get it? Thinking of this, Li Hao couldn't help but think of another girl, Zhang Tingting. That girl, who didn't look very stunning, but had an extremely stunning figure, could have won that night, but because of a system prompt in the middle, something else happened, so that she and Zhang Tingting were unable to win. No further intimacy occurred. Later, Zhang Tingting didn't even look for her, so she didn't take the initiative to ask. "Oh, what's the matter? I didn't hook you up." When Wu Chao heard Li Hao's words, he sighed again and said resentfully, "Brother Ji, ask your girlfriend out tonight. It's best to ask her to bring 2 more girlfriends or roommates." Chen Tao said to Xiaoji again. Hearing this, Xiaoji said in a deep voice, "I'll try." After that, Xiaoji picked up his phone again and sent a message to his girlfriend. After a moment, Xiaoji smiled and said to Wu Chao and Chen Tao, "Okay. Done." She said to bring 2 girlfriends. "I just don't know how it works." "Yeah, that's great. It doesn't matter how she looks, as long as she's not too ugly and a woman is fine." Li Hao and Wu Chao said again. They have been single for more than 20 years and have lowered their requirements. "Xiaoji, brother Hao doesn't lack women, so you can bring your own women, right?" "Haha." Chen Tao said to Li Hao again. "I won't bring any. Just watch your performance, haha." Li Hao laughed again and said directly. Evening. Xiaoji called in advance to order a meal at a famous Western restaurant called Bralo. Xiaoji also left the school early and drove to pick up his girlfriend. Although Xiaoji gave her a BMW, Xiaoji still thought it would be better to pick her up in person. In the previous chat, Li Hao also learned that Xiaoji's girlfriend seemed to be a college student, but she was from the Conservatory of Music and was also a live streamer. As for Wu Chao and Chen Tao, they took a taxi to the restaurant, because Li Hao's Lamborghini Venezia could only seat 2 people. Instead of taking one of them, it would be better for the 2 of them to take a taxi directly. Bralo Western Restaurant is an Italian restaurant located in the prosperous area of Jiangbei, next to Shanghulai. Li Hao was the first to arrive and parked the car directly in the parking space on the side of the road. A few minutes later, Wu Chao and Chen Tao also took a taxi. Tonight, Wu Chao and Chen Tao washed their hair and changed their clothes for this meal. They looked quite energetic, but there was still some gap when standing next to the handsome Li Hao. The 3 of them directly reported Xiaoji's name and were taken to a table by the window. After a while of waiting. Finally, more than half an hour later, Xiaoji drove a car and stopped outside the door of the Bralo restaurant. 3 girls got out of the car, 2 of them were wearing short skirts, and 1 was wearing shorts. They had exquisite makeup on their faces, standard melon-shaped faces, long legs, and both their looks and figures were very good, but they were probably all high-tech. As soon as the 3 girls got out, their eyes fell on a sports car not far away, and a look of surprise immediately appeared in the eyes of the 3 girls. "Wow, it's a Lamborghini Veneno. This car seems to be worth more than 20 million. Immediately, one of the girls said directly. "Huh? I seem to have seen this sports car somewhere." God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 538. At this time, another girl next to him made a soft sound and murmured. After hearing what this girl said, the other girl among the 3 girls also spoke out. "Ajuan, have you forgotten the sports car we saw at the night market last night? It seems to be this one." Immediately, when the woman named Ajuan heard her best friend's words, she was shocked and immediately thought about it. Just last night, when she and her best friend were having late-night snacks at the night market, they saw this sports car coming. When the sports car stopped, a handsome young man got out of the car, and she stepped forward. "I went to ask for the other party's WeChat, but was rejected by the other party. What's wrong?" "Xiaowan." At this time, Xiaoji also got out of the driver's seat. Looking at what the 3 women were talking about, he asked in confusion. The woman in front of him named Ajuan was his girlfriend, and her name was Zuwan. Nothing. When Zuwan heard Xiaoji's question, she shook her head and said nothing. Well, the three brothers in my dormitory are already waiting. When Xiaoji heard Zuwan's words, he didn't think much and said directly to the three women. The next moment, Xiaoji took the three girls directly into the restaurant. Li Hao, Wu Chao, and Chen Tao were sitting on chairs playing with their mobile phones. Wu Chao said to Li Hao and Chen Tao, "Brother Hao, Brother Tao, this is the vibrato of Brother G's girlfriend. Look, she is a small internet celebrity with more than 200,000 fans. She is quite beautiful, but I don't know what she is like in person." "Really? Let's see, let's see. He looks pretty good. Brother G is so awesome. He can even fool an internet celebrity." Next to him, when Chen Tao heard Wu Chao's words, he even lowered his eyes to Wu Chao's cell phone and took a look, and then let out an exclamation sound. "This is money power. If you have money, these women will rush to lean on you." When Li Hao heard Chen Tao's words, he couldn't help but say again. When Wu Chao and Chen Tao heard what Li Hao said, they believed it deeply. Indeed, everything is based on ability. If they were a rich second generation like Xiaoji, they would be able to get girls easily. I just don't know what Brother G's girlfriend's best friend looks like. At this time, Chen Tao couldn't help but say. People flock together, and birds of a feather flock together. Brother G's girlfriends are also good looking, so her best friends shouldn't be much different, right? Wu Chao also said directly that the main purpose of their coming here today was for Xiaoji's girlfriend and best friend. If they could get it, they would be able to get out of singles. You will know when you look at it, they are already here. At this time, Li Hao said in a deep voice again. In Li Hao's consciousness, Xiaoji and three girls had already walked in from the door of the restaurant. As Li Hao finished speaking, Wu Chao and Chen Tao looked along the stairs. When they saw Xiaoji walking up with three girls, immediately, Wu Chao and Chen Tao's eyes brightened a little, and they fell straight on the three girls. I only saw those three girls, two wearing short skirts and one wearing shorts. They were fair-skinned and beautiful with long legs. They were absolutely beauties. Wu Chao and Chen Tao felt a rush of heat in their hearts. People also become restless. The next moment, Xiaoji also saw Li Hao and the other three, and led the three girls directly towards the table and walked to the front of the table. "Brother G. Is this my sister-in-law?" Wu Chaodang stood up and asked directly. "Haha, Zuwan. My girlfriend. They are my friend's best friends, Zhang Yun and Sun Minjiao." Xiaoji immediately introduced Li Hao and the others directly. After saying that, he spoke directly to the three women. "My good brothers in the dormitory. These are Wu Chao, Chen Tao, and Li Hao." Xiaoji also directly introduced Li Hao and the three of them. When they met for the first time, they still needed to get to know each other. Immediately, the eyes of Li Hao and the others were scanning the bodies of the three women, and the eyes of the three women were also looking at the bodies of Li Hao and the others. However, at this moment, when Li Hao's eyes fell on the three women in front of him, he couldn't help but be stunned. Huh! These two women, namely Xiaoji's girlfriend and the girl next to her named Zhang Yun, Li Hao actually felt a little familiar with. Suddenly, Li Hao remembered. As a master in the realm of gods, Li Hao naturally has the ability to remember things with photographs. At this moment, he recognized these two women. Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun were not him. When I got off the bus at the night market last night, were the two women who came up to me asking for WeChat. It's just that Li Hao just said to Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun lightly in order to eat Shayu with Li Xiaoqian, "I'm sorry, my pond is full." Li Hao didn't expect that he would meet these two women again here, and one of them was actually the new girlfriend of his good brother Xiaoji. The world is such a small place, you can still encounter this. When Li Hao was filled with surprise, The eyes of the three women in front of him, Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun, also swept over Li Hao, and the two women, Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun, were also stunned for an instant. They also recognized Li Hao. Isn't this the guy who drove that Lamborghini Poison yesterday? Why is he here? He is actually Xiaoji's roommate. At this time, the two women suddenly remembered the Lamborghini Poison they just saw at the door. Wasn't it the same car yesterday? In other words, that car was parked there by the young man in front of me. A boy who could afford a Lamborghini Poison must be rich or noble. Immediately, a strange thought came into the minds of the two women. Is it you? Is it you? Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun also said in unison at this moment. Thinking of the other party's rejection of their words yesterday, the two women just felt a little embarrassed at the moment. Next to them, Xiaoji, Wu Chao, Chen Tao and others were stunned when they heard Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun's words. Do you know each other? Xiaoji couldn't help but ask Zhu Wan, Zhang Yun, and his good brother Li Hao. Hearing Xiaoji's words, Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun looked at each other, but their expressions changed slightly, but they didn't know how to answer. It can't be said that the two of them asked for each other's WeChat last night and were rejected by the other party, right? How embarrassing is that? It's not really acquaintance, I just met once at the night market last night. At this time, Li Hao was the first to speak out, saying lightly that he had indeed met once. That's right. I met him once last night. Ayun also wanted this handsome guy's WeChat account, but she didn't expect that this handsome guy turned out to be your roommate. At this time, Zhu Wan said again, actually blaming Zhang Yun for asking for WeChat yesterday. While speaking, Zhu Wan also gave Zhang Yun an apologetic look. I see. Xiaoji was suddenly stunned. It's not easy to use WeChat. Sit down first, chat while eating, and you will become familiar with it in a while. Xiaoji said directly again. Dang even ordered some more dishes, steak pasta is standard, and there are other specialties. After a while, the dishes Xiaoji ordered were brought up, along with 2 bottles of red wine. The red wine was ordered by Xiaoji, and it was what Xiaoji's girlfriend and 3 best friends wanted to drink. As for Wu Chao and Li Hao, they drank beer. After a while, several people became familiar with each other. Through the matchmaking between Xiaoji, Zhu Wan, Zhang Yun, and the 3 girls Sun Minjiao and Li Hao, Wu Chao and Chen Tao also got acquainted a lot. While eating dinner, several people drank wine, and the atmosphere seemed very harmonious. The 3 girls drank 2 glasses of red wine, and their pretty faces became rosy. However, the 3 girls also had a very good capacity for drinking. They often drank outside on weekdays. This amount of wine would not make them too drunk. While eating, several people toasted to each other. You toasted me a toast, and I toasted you a toast. The atmosphere seemed very lively. Come on, Li Hao, let me toast you again. At a certain moment, Zhu Wan picked up the wine glass again and took the initiative to toast Li Hao again. Just now, she and Xiaoji had already toasted Li Hao together, and now they were toasting to Li Hao alone. Li Hao frowned slightly. This woman named Zhu Wan had a pattern on her face and didn't look very dedicated. I'm afraid my brother should be more vigilant and don't be fooled. As a powerful master of the transformation of God, Li Hao is naturally good at the art of physiognomy. He can tell at a glance that this woman named Zhu Wan has a troubled face, and she does not look like a very dedicated and good woman at first glance, especially when he thinks about yesterday. As he read his WeChat message, Li Hao felt more and more that the Zhu Wan in front of him was probably a very snobbish person. Li Hao even heard that Xiaoji had spent hundreds of thousands on this woman, and immediately he couldn't help but feel a little wary. Maybe I should remind my good brother. But at this moment, Li Hao didn't know how to tell his good brother. After all, Zhu Wan was Xiaoji's girlfriend. If he told her directly, it would be a bit bad, and it might affect himself and Xiaoji. The brotherhood between. Forget it, Let's wait. Li Hao thought like this, just find an opportunity to talk sideways. Li Hao immediately raised his glass, touched it directly with the other party, and drank the beer in one gulp. Li Hao, let me toast you too. At this time, Zhang Yun next to her saw Zhu Wan toasting Li Hao, and she immediately raised her glass and said to Li Hao. In Zhang Yun's view, Zhu Wan had already fooled around with Li Hao's brother, and even though she had no chance to compete with him, she immediately took the initiative. Li Hao smiled lightly, but said nothing. He raised his glass and drank it in one gulp. We are really destined, he, I didn't expect us to meet. Li Hao, do you have a girlfriend? At this time, Zhang Yun asked Li Hao again. Yes. Li Hao said calmly. She does have a girlfriend, and there are more than one, including Qin Yaking and Ye Xiun. Oh, that's such a pity. She still wants to be your girlfriend? Since we can't be your girlfriend, can we be friends? Can you add me on WeChat? Zhang Yun couldn't help but sigh again when she heard Li Hao's words, and immediately said to Li Hao again. Of course it's no problem. Li Hao heard this and said directly. Everyone has said this, and I am embarrassed to refuse again. That's great. Come on, sweep me. Zhang Yun said, then took out her phone, opened WeChat, and clicked on her WeChat QR code. Li Hao saw this scene, and could only pick up his phone helplessly, then opened WeChat and scanned the other party's QR code, and added each other as WeChat friends. Shall we add one too? Sun Minjiao saw the scene and immediately said to Li Hao. Sure. Li Hao did not refuse, and directly added the other party on WeChat. Beauty, can we add one? At this time, Wu Chao couldn't stand it anymore. With Li Hao around, these girlfriends would have no place for them, so he could only take the initiative. A few minutes later, several people added each other on WeChat, including Zhu Wan and Li Hao. Under the pretext that Zhu Wan could find Li Hao when she couldn't find Xiaoji, and in front of Xiaoji, Li Hao couldn't refuse. But not long after, Li Hao, who was drinking, received a message on WeChat on his mobile phone. Li Hao couldn't help but open WeChat on his phone and saw a message from Zhang Yun, the friend he just added. Li Hao, I like you. Although you already have a girlfriend. But can you give me a chance? I will be very obedient and very good. Seeing the message from Zhang Yun, Li Hao couldn't help but condense again. Is it so direct? Li Hao really didn't see it. Like me? Haha. Li Hao couldn't help but want to laugh in his heart. Does he like his car? Or does he like his money? Li Hao couldn't help but look at Zhang Yun who was sitting opposite him. Seeing Li Hao's eyes, Zhang Yun showed a cute and lovely smile again. Sorry. My girlfriend is also very good. Very obedient, I will not leave her. Li Hao immediately replied to the other party without any hesitation. Zhang Yun saw Li Hao's reply, her face darkened immediately, but she was still discouraged and sent another message to Li Hao. I won't give up. Li Hao could only smile at this and didn't reply. However, at this moment, what Li Hao did not expect was that another WeChat message came. However, this time, it was not sent by Zhang Yun, but by Zhu Wan who was sitting next to Xiaoji. The content of the message was, Hey, I finally added your WeChat. Smiley face. Li Hao directly replied with 3 question marks. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 539. Li Hao, we are really destined. We met yesterday and we met again today. I didn't expect that you are Xiaoji's brother. At this time, Li Hao saw that Zhu Wan had sent him another WeChat message. For it. When Li Hao saw the news, he even replied directly, but his brows wrinkled slightly. He didn't know what Zhu Wan wanted to do. Actually, Xiaoji and I have nothing to do with each other. At this moment, Zhu Wan actually sent a message to Li Hao again. Really? If you say that, I'm afraid my good brother will be very sad. Li Hao's heart couldn't help but condense again. What does this Zhu Wan mean? Li Hao was a little puzzled, and immediately replied to a WeChat message calmly. What does it matter to me whether he's hurt or not? I don't care. Zhu Wan sent another message directly, and then, without waiting for Li Hao's reply, Zhu Wan sent another message. Li Hao, can you make me care? This sentence from Zhu Wan directly blinded Li Hao, but Li Hao had the urge to vomit in his heart. Isn't this bad? He is your boyfriend. Li Hao sent another message directly to express his grievance for his brother. However, it was Zhu Wan who replied to Li Hao. It has nothing to do with me. I didn't admit that I was his girlfriend. Li Hao, do you have a girlfriend? Seeing what the other party said, Li Hao immediately frowned again, his heart condensed. Are you eating from the bowl and looking at the pot? Hee hee. Li Hao replied directly with 2 words, but there was a touch of disdain in his heart. What are we talking about anymore? Ajuan. Let's continue drinking. At this time, Xiaoji, who was sitting next to Zhu Wan, saw that Zhu Wan was holding a mobile phone and didn't know who she was chatting with. She didn't even drink or eat. Xiaoji immediately asked Zhu Wan again, while saying, but Xiaoji couldn't help but put his hand on Zhu Wan's thigh involuntarily. However, as soon as Xiaoji's hand came down and came into contact with Zhu Wan's skin, Zhu Wan's eyebrows wrinkled directly, and then she put Xiaoji's hand away. Friend. Do you want to take care of this too? Zhu Wan said to Xiaoji in a deep voice. Seeing this scene, Xiaoji was stunned for a moment, and his expression became a little unnatural. He was so unstoppable that he was defeated by Zhu Wan. Ajuan, you. Xiaoji was also a little unhappy. Even though he couldn't help but look at Zhu Wan, an uncontrollable anger arose in his heart, but he suppressed it forcefully. He spent hundreds of thousands on this Zhu Wan, bought her a car, and gave her a lot of gifts, but now he didn't even touch her legs. Thinking of this, Xiaoji felt a sense of dissatisfaction in his heart, but after doing so much, he couldn't give up halfway. Xiaoji still wanted to capture Zhu Wan, otherwise it would be worthless. Oh, there are so many people here? Be careful. Let's drink and sing together later, okay? Seeing that Xiaoji seemed a little angry, Zhu Wan immediately whispered to Xiaoji again. When Xiaoji heard Zhu Wan's words, his expression looked a little better. Okay. Let's sing later. Xiaoji said in response. Seeing Xiaoji agree, Zhu Wan immediately showed a hint of joy and spoke directly to the sisters Zhang Yun and Sun Minjiu beside her. Ayun, Ayu, let's sing together later. After speaking, Zhu Wan said to Li Hao again. Let's sing together after dinner. Your good brother Xiaoji is here to treat us. Singing. Brother Ji is treating me to a treat. I must go then. When Wu Chao heard Zhu Wan's words, he immediately said it. Go, of course. It's okay to stay up all night. Chen Tao also agreed very readily. If there is a beautiful woman with him, he must go. Maybe he will get married. Anyway, I've already drunk so much, it doesn't matter if I drink more, I might go to the hotel while drinking. Wu Chao and Chen Tao both had this idea and agreed directly. What about you? Li Hao. At this time, Zhu Wan looked at Li Hao again and asked Li Hao directly, but Li Hao did not express his position. Zhang Yun and Sun Minjiu next to them also laid their eyes on Li Hao. Everyone is going, so of course I have to go too. Li Hao immediately laughed and said lightly, but he couldn't help but look at Xiaoji. Xiaoji was very angry at the moment and said, since everyone agreed, let's go sing later. I'm treating you. Li Hao looked at the scene and couldn't help but sigh slightly for his brother. Unexpectedly, Xiaoji, who has had countless women, would actually be on this Zhu Wan's body. What would Xiaoji think if he knew that this Zhu Wan just added her WeChat and started chatting with him on WeChat? Li Hao felt that he needed to find an opportunity to remind his good brother so that he could be mentally prepared. But at this moment, Li Hao couldn't say anything in front of the other party. Let me book a KTV. Which KTV should I go to? At this time, Xiaoji said to several people again. Should we go to the Imperial Court? I'm a VIP there. I have their boss's WeChat account. Just send him a message. After hearing Xiaoji's words, Zhu Wan immediately said it again. All right. Xiaoji naturally did not refute. So, Zhu Wan opened WeChat on her mobile phone, found a contact, and sent a message to the other party. Brother Chong, I brought a guest for you. A big bag. You understand? Understood. I can't do without you. Soon, the other party responded with a message, which made Zhu Wan feel a little happy. After more than 10 minutes, everyone had almost finished eating. Xiaoji took the initiative to pay the bill, and then the others prepared to go to Dynasty KTV. Soon, several people walked out of the restaurant. Li Hao, that's your car, right? Can I ride in your car? As soon as he walked out of the restaurant, Zhang Yun took the initiative to ask Li Hao, getting ahead of everyone. I also want to ride in a Lamborghini Poison. Even Zhu Wan couldn't help but say aloud at this moment. Her beautiful eyes looked at the Lamborghini Poison not far away, and her eyes were full of hope. Hearing what Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun said, Sun Minjiao next to her suddenly widened her eyes. This car actually belongs to the Li Hao in front of me. No wonder, when they were just having dinner, both Zhang Yun and Zhu Wan were rushing to add WeChat, and they looked at Li Hao with a somewhat unusual look. It turned out that Li Hao was actually a rich man who opened a Lamborghini Poison. Naturally, Sun Minjiao knew that this car would cost 1,000 W each, and it would not be affordable for ordinary people to drive. Lamborghini Poison, I want to sit on it too, I've sat on it before. Sun Minjiao couldn't help but said. Haha. But my car can only seat one person. When Li Hao heard what the three women said, he said directly and calmly. I'll say it first. Zhang Yun said weakly again. In the end, it was Zhang Yun who got on Li Hao's Lamborghini Poison. Lamborghini is poison. Xiaoji, your brother is the second generation of rich people, right? Seeing Zhang Yun get on the Lamborghini Poison and drive away, Zhu Wandang sighed, her eyes full of undisguised envy, and asked Xiaoji beside her. I don't know. But I know that he is quite rich. He lives in a villa and seems to have opened a company. Xiaoji heard Zhu Wan's words and said directly, and he was not surprised by it. When Zhu Wan and Sun Minjiao heard Xiaoji's words, their eyes brightened again. Xiaoji, what if you bought me a sports car? I don't like that BMW. A moment later, Zhu Wan said something again that made Xiaoji helpless. Buying a sports car? Where did he get so much money? Although Xiaoji's family is quite rich, his father is the boss of a building materials company, and he has a lot of pocket money on weekdays, but being able to buy Zhu Wan a BMW is his limit. Ajuan, when I have money in the future, I will definitely buy it for you. Xiaoji said to Zhu Wan angrily. How long will it take to wait? Zhu Wan said something and went directly to Xiaoji's car, then opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. As for Wu Chao and the others, they were naturally riding in Xiaoji's car. 5 people, just right. The other side. Oh, how do you fasten the seat belt? Can you help me? Zhang Yun looked at the luxurious interior of this Lamborghini Poison, with a bright smile on her face. Even though she wanted to pull up the seat belt, but she didn't know how to pull it up, she suddenly said softly. Li Hao asked. Li Hao couldn't help but feel speechless when he heard Zhang Yun's voice. He didn't even know how to fasten his seat belt. Was there any mistake? Just pull it over and insert it? Li Hadang said in a deep voice, then leaned towards Zhang Yun. What caught his eye was Zhang Yun's proud bust, which made Li Hao feel a strange impulse. Without squinting, Li Hao bypassed Zhang Yun's body and directly grabbed the seat belt on the other side. Zhang Yun obediently pressed her head against the pillow, and then looked straight at Li Hao's face, who was less than 20 centimeters away. So handsome. Looking at the handsome side face so close in front of her, Zhang Yun suddenly felt an uncontrollable impulse in her heart. Bah! The next moment, Zhang Yun actually kissed Li Hao on the face. What are you doing? Li Hao was startled by the kiss and immediately waited for Zhang Yun to ask. Well, Li Hao, can you be my boyfriend? Zhang Yun immediately said weakly to Li Hao. I have a girlfriend. Li Hao was speechless. He had said it before, and then he said it again in a solemn voice. I know, it's okay. I won't get in the way of you and your girlfriend. After hearing Li Hao's words, Zhang Yun said again. Li Hao. That won't work either. Li Hao said directly again, his voice extremely firm. Are you kidding? Are you such a casual person? Li Hao, am I not good looking enough? Or am I not in good shape? Zhang Yun blushed and asked Li Hao again. When Li Hao heard Zhang Yun's words, he couldn't help but glance at Zhang Yun again, especially at that majestic place. Seeing Li Hao's eyes, Zhang Yun was secretly happy. She actually stretched out her hand and slowly pulled down the collar of her clothes. This. Li Hao didn't know what to say. The other party had done this, so he would have to take a look. Li Hao only took a glance, then retracted his gaze, and immediately said to Zhang Yun, don't do this, it will be bad if my girlfriend knows. Li Hao really only took a glance, as long as he didn't blink, it would only count as a glance. It's okay, I won't let others know. Li Hao was speechless and didn't know what to say. The other party was too proactive. Fortunately, he was not an ordinary person, and his concentration was also extraordinary. If he turned into someone else, he would probably have been unable to hold back. Li Hao did not answer, nor did he make any other moves. He directly pulled the seat belt diagonally across Zhang Yun's body and helped him fasten it. Okay, I'm going to drive. Li Hao said lightly, then stepped on the accelerator, and the Lamborghini Venom immediately rushed out. The Dynasty KTV was not far from here. Just over 10 minutes later, Li Hao and Zhang Yun arrived at the Dynasty KTV. At this moment, the entrance of the Dynasty KTV is full of cars. There are all kinds of luxury cars. Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BMW and the like are very common. There are also Maserati and Maybach. As one of the top 5 KTVs in Jiangbei, the Dynasty KTV is very lively and full every night. And the people who come here to consume are basically rich people. You can't just sing here, drinking is a must. If you come down for a night, you can't get it without spending 7 or 8,000. When Li Hao appeared at the entrance of the Dynasty KTV in a Lamborghini Venetian, he also attracted a lot of attention. Although there are many luxury cars here, super sports cars like Lamborghini Venetian are still rare. Wow, Lamborghini Venetian. This car is so damn handsome. Whose rich second generation is this? The crowd couldn't help but make a sound of uproar. Li Hao parked the car in a parking space, and then he and Zhang Yun got out of the car. Li Hao had already gotten used to this, but Zhang Yun felt extremely comfortable when she felt the gazes of these people. It was a good feeling to be noticed by others. Hello, sir. Do you have a reservation? Immediately, a waiter came to Li Hao and Zhang Yun at the door and asked them. Yes, my best friend has made a reservation. Wait a minute, my best friend and her friends will be here soon. Without waiting for Li Hao to speak, Zhang Yun next to him spoke directly. At this moment, Xiaoji and his friends had not arrived yet. So, the two waited here for a while. After a few minutes, Xiaoji finally arrived in the car with Zhu Wan, Wu Chao, and others. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 540. When Xiaoji brought Zhu Wan, Wu Chao, and others here. Sister Wan. The waiter shouted to Zhu Wan immediately, and he actually knew Zhu Wan. I called your manager. The private room has been booked. Check which room it is. Zhu Wan said directly to the waiter again. When the waiter heard what Zhu Wan said, he immediately asked the front desk on the intercom. The next moment, he said to Zhu Wan again. Sister Wan, it has been booked. It's Emperor Room 999. Immediately, the waiter led a few people inside, and the sound of singing came from the private rooms on both sides of the passage. Obviously, these private rooms were also full of people. After a while, a few people came to the Emperor Room 999 again. Order a song. Order a song quickly. Soon, Zhu Wan and others started to order songs again. After ordering, they picked up the microphone and started singing. It must be said that Zhu Wan, Zhang Yun, and Sun Minjiao are indeed from the music academy. They sing very well, just like professional singers. They are indeed students who specialize in music and have received systematic training. Soon, bottles of beer were pushed in by the waiter, as well as XO, fruit plates, and snacks. Xiaoji and others had drunk a lot of wine, and they were very relaxed at this moment. They started singing immediately. Still leaning on the sleepless night, looking at the stars in the sky. Still hear the violin, crying and teasing. Why is there only a crescent moon left, staying in my sky? Xiaoji is also a master of picking up girls. He sings very well. A Cantonese serenade of the moon is refreshing. As for Chen Tao and Wu Chao, their singing is much worse. They both sang a song to open their voices. Li Hao, on the other hand, sat in the corner, quietly listening to them singing, drinking slowly. Li Hao, can you sing one too? Zhang Yun, who was sitting next to Li Hao, saw this scene and couldn't help asking Li Hao again. I can't sing, you guys sing, I'll drink. Li Hao said lightly, it's not that he can't sing, but he just doesn't want to sing, it feels a bit boring. Then I'll drink too. Come on, let's drink. Zhang Yun heard what Li Hao said, and immediately raised the beer glass filled with beer to Li Hao. The two clinked their glasses and drank it very happily. Zhu Wan, who was singing, saw this scene and couldn't help putting down the microphone in her hand, and actually sat next to the two. Come on, let's drink. Zhu Wan also raised the glass and said directly to the two. Hey, what's the point of just drinking? How about we play games? Xiaoji saw this scene, and looked at the turntable on the coffee table in front of him, and some dice, and his heart moved, and he immediately said to several people. Okay. What game do you want to play? Zhang Yun and others heard Xiaoji's words, and a touch of light appeared in their beautiful eyes, and they immediately asked again. Isn't there something? Xiaoji said again. How about we spin the turntable? It's fun with more people. Zhang Yun said again. Okay. I have no problem. Sun Minjiao said directly. I have no problem either. Let's play the turntable. Wu Chao and Chen Tao also said aloud. Several people agreed. Li Hao, let's play together. At this time, Zhang Yun looked at Li Hao again and asked Li Hao. Yes. Li Hao nodded calmly and took a look at the turntable. He saw that the turntable was divided into more than 10 areas. The colors of each area were different, and there were some words written in each area. Drink 1 cup, drink 2 cups, blow 1 bottle, drink the upper house, drink the lower house, pass, kiss the upper house, kiss the lower house, kiss someone, truth or dare, drink all by yourself, drink 2 cups by yourself, drink the cup of wine. These are the contents of each area on the turntable. As long as anyone turns to these areas, he needs to do the corresponding things according to the content of this area. This is the rule of the game. This game is a good opportunity to close the distance between several people. Immediately, several people sat around the coffee table. Li Hao sat there without moving, and Zhang Yun was close to Li Hao and did not move either. Ayu, sit next to me. Zhang Yun even brought Ayu to her side directly. She also had some thoughts. The drinking area on the turntable was easy to deal with. Just pour the wine into your mouth. However, it was a little difficult to kiss the upper or lower family. So Zhang Yun sat next to Li Hao on one side and Sun Minjiao on the other. No matter which area she turned to, it would be much easier. Whether it was kissing Li Hao or Sun Minjiao, it was something she was more willing to do. But Sun Minjiao was not very happy to hear Zhang Yun's words. She actually wanted to sit next to Li Hao, or the other side, but she saw that Zhu Wan actually moved over here and squeezed directly to the other side of Li Hao. What Sun Minjiao wanted to say was immediately stuck in her mouth and could not be said. Sun Minjiao could only sit on the other side of Zhang Yun. When Xiaoji saw this scene, his face couldn't help but froze, and he sat down directly next to Zhu Wan. Wu Chao pulled a stool and sat down next to Sun Minjiao. In Wu Chao's view, next to him girls are good. As for Chen Tao, he was miserable. On one side was Xiaoji and on the other was Wu Chao. Their faces full of acne showed a look of unhappiness. A few people took their seats, and then the game started directly. Who starts first? Xiaoji asked directly to several people. It's just you. Take your turn. Just get started. Zhu Wan and others said directly. When Xiaoji heard this, he nodded and said, "Okay, let me do it first." After saying that, Xiaoji's eyes fell on the turntable in front of him. The next moment, Xiaoji reached out his hand and turned the dial directly. Immediately, the turntable started spinning rapidly. Everyone's eyes were also focused on this turntable, and Xiaoji's eyes also fell on this turntable, with a look of expectation in his eyes. After the turntable spun for about 10 seconds, it finally slowly stopped. Finally, the pointer of the turntable stopped directly at the drink 2 drinks area. What the hell, are you so unlucky? Xiaoji's face turned dark when he saw this scene, and he even cursed. He really didn't expect anything to come, and what he didn't want came to him. Drink quickly. 2 cups. Hurry up and be next. When Zhu Wan and Zhang Yun saw this scene, they immediately said to Xiaoji again. Okay, just drink. Xiaoji was very happy after hearing this. He directly grabbed the wine glass and poured it into his mouth. After drinking 1 cup, Xiaoji filled the cup directly, and then drank the second cup. Brother Ji Tao. It's your turn. After drinking 2 glasses, he burped directly and said to Chen Tao beside him. At this moment, Xiaoji felt that his stomach was full and he couldn't drink any more. Okay. Come on, have a good one. When Chen Tao heard Xiaoji's words, he immediately said the same, then his eyes fell on the turntable, and he also turned the turntable directly. Wow! The turntable immediately began to rotate rapidly. Soon, the turntable slowly stopped again. Finally, the direction of the turntable pointer suddenly pointed to kiss me. Holy shit! Seeing this result, Chen Tao also swore directly. He was very lucky, but it would have been nice if the person he was kissing turned into a girl. He could only blame him for sitting in a bad position. When Xiaoji next to him saw this result, a dark look appeared on his face. Just because Chen Tao's boss was him, why was he so unlucky? Ha ha ha, kiss me quickly. Hurry up, don't leave any ink marks, kiss quickly, you can kiss anywhere. It's so funny. Dot. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yun, Wu Chao, and others next to them laughed with gloating. Chen Tao's face also turned dark. Brother Ji, I'm here. Immediately, Chen Tao also summoned up the courage and said to Xiaoji. Damn, I'm so unlucky to meet you. Hurry up. Xiaoji said speechlessly again. The next moment, Chen Tao's mouth slowly moved towards Xiaoji's face, and Xiaoji's face turned red. Finally, Chen Tao suddenly kissed Xiaoji on the face, and then quickly retracted his mouth. Ugh, it's so disgusting. Xiaoji quickly wiped his face and retched and said, the girl didn't kiss him, but he was directly kissed by this guy Chen Tao. It's your turn. At this time, Zhu Wan said to Wu Chao again. Wu Chao didn't hesitate at all and turned the dial directly. Wow! The turntable immediately started spinning very fast, and as time passed, it finally stopped slowly. Finally, the pointer suddenly landed on the bottle blowing area. I'm going. Wu Chao's luck was obviously not very good, and he couldn't even kiss a girl while sitting next to him. Okay. Give it a try. Immediately, Wu Chao picked up an open beer bottle and blew on it. The bottles of beer in this KTV are not very big. One bottle is actually not much different than 2 cups. For Wu Chao, there is no problem. Well, I need to go to the toilet. After finishing one bottle, Wu Chao had to go to the toilet. It was obvious that Wu Chao was already quite drunk. You have to go to the toilet now. Hurry. Xiaoji said directly. Go on, I'll be right back. Wu Chao stood up and went to the toilet. Let's continue. Ayu, it's your turn. Zhu Wan immediately said to Sun Minjiao again. When Sun Minjiao heard this, she nodded directly, then stretched out her jade finger and turned the turntable directly. Immediately, this transformation also started to change rapidly. Wow! After a few seconds, the turntable stopped. Everyone saw that the area pointed by the pointer was Kiss the Next Home. Haha, okay, okay, okay. Seeing this result, Sun Minjiao laughed immediately, and then without saying anything, he pulled Zhang Yun's head over and kissed Zhang Yun on the face. Girl kissing girl, but it's nothing. Ayun, it's your turn. Sun Minjiao said directly to Zhang Yun again. Zhang Yun immediately set her eyes on the turntable. I must turn it well. Zhang Yun prayed in her heart. Zhang Yun took a deep breath and turned the turntable directly. The next moment, the turntable started to turn rapidly, and after just a few seconds, the turntable slowly stopped. Zhang Yun saw that the position pointed by the pointer of the turntable was Kiss the Next One. The same result as Sun Minjiao's turn just now. Great. Seeing this result, Zhang Yun was immediately excited and almost couldn't help shouting. Hazi, you are so damn lucky. When Wu Chao and Chen Tao saw this result, they couldn't help but say it again, their voices full of envy, and they couldn't help but sigh that Li Hao was so lucky. Kiss the next one? How can this be good? Zhang Yun was secretly happy in her heart, but on the surface, Zhang Yun acted shy, as if she was not very satisfied with this result. That. Li Hao, I'm coming. Zhang Yun looked at Li Hao again, her pretty face blushed, and said to Li Hao weakly. When Li Hao saw this scene, he couldn't help but complain in his heart, obviously he liked it very much, but he had to pretend like this. Why did he do this? Didn't they kiss each other in the car before? So proactive. Li Hao had a smile on his face, but he was silent, watching the scene quietly. Seeing that Li Hao didn't say anything and didn't refuse, Zhang Yun couldn't help but get excited again. The next moment, Zhang Yun kissed Li Hao on the face with lightning speed, and quickly pulled away. After doing all this, Zhang Yun's pretty face was already blushing to the extreme, and she said to Li Hao again. It's your turn, Li Hao. After that, Zhang Yun pushed the turntable directly in front of Li Hao. Okay. Li Hao nodded, with a slight smile on his face, and fiddled with the turntable directly. This turntable is actually very simple, and with Li Hao's means, he can easily control the result of this turntable without anyone noticing, but Li Hao did not do so. This is just playing a game with his brothers. It would be too boring if he still needed to use means. All the results depend on luck. So, Li Hao let the turntable spin. Soon, the turntable stopped. Finally, the pointer of the turntable pointed to kiss the previous home. Damn it! Brother Hao, you are so lucky. Damn it! When Wu Chao and Chen Tao saw this scene, they couldn't help but exclaimed again. Li Hao's luck was really good. Kiss again. Zhang Yun, who was standing next to him, saw this result and her beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief, and her heart was trembling. Is this fate? God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 541. Li Hao also didn't expect that he would switch to this. Want to kiss again? It seems that my luck is really good. Just kiss her. Anyway, I won't suffer any loss. Well, I'm here. Li Hao couldn't help but look at Zhang Yun on the left and said to Zhang Yun. Come on. It's okay. Zhang Yun was very straightforward and said directly to Li Hao as if she wanted Li Hao to kiss her. She even took the initiative to tilt her pretty face towards Li Hao. Seeing this scene, Li Hao didn't hesitate and kissed Zhang Yun directly on the face. Zhang Yun didn't resist at all, and even looked like he was enjoying it. It's your turn. After doing all this, Li Hao said to Zhu Wan next to him. Haha, just come. Zhu Wan immediately stopped hesitating and turned the dial directly. The next moment, the turntable started spinning rapidly again. After just a few seconds, the turntable stopped. Everyone only saw the area pointed by the pointer of the turntable. Kiss me at home. This. What the hell is going on? When Wu Chao and others saw this result, their eyes widened with a look of disbelief. At this moment, even Li Hao was stunned. Want to kiss again? And kissing yourself again? Not only did Li Hao not feel happy at all, he even frowned. This Zhu Wan is the girl that her good brother Xiaoji likes. How would Xiaoji feel if she came to kiss her? Although it is just playing games. Moreover, this Zhu Wan is not an innocent woman. At first glance, she looks like the kind of peach blossom girl who has been with countless men. But Li Hao couldn't say it in front of his good brothers. At this moment, seeing this result, Li Hao was speechless. Ah! Kissing Li Hao? Wouldn't this be good? When Zhu Wan saw this result, she immediately let out another cry of surprise, made a coy look, and said weakly. But the next moment, I heard Zhu Wan speak slowly again. But since this is just a game, if you are willing to admit defeat, just kiss me. Li Hao, don't worry, I won't mind. You shouldn't mind either, right? After hearing Zhu Wan's words, Li Hao's face immediately turned a little dark. You don't mind, I'm afraid you are very willing. Don't you mind? Of course I mind. And didn't you see that Xiaoji's complexion became a little ugly next to him? It's very unnatural because he hasn't kissed this Zhu Wan yet. Unexpectedly, Zhu Wan wanted to kiss Li Hao, and Xiaoji felt a little uncomfortable for a moment, but this was indeed a game, and he was willing to admit defeat, but Xiaoji didn't know what to say, and he liked her at the same time. Girls, on one side is his good brother. But at this moment, Zhu Wan finished speaking and leaned directly towards Li Hao's face. When Li Hao saw this scene, he naturally reacted very quickly. He dodged directly and leaned his head and body towards Wang Zhangjian. This Zhu Wan did not kiss Li Hao's face, but her mouth touched Li Hao's arm. Ah! Li Hao, what are you doing? When Zhu Wan saw this scene, she immediately became unhappy and said directly to Li Hao. Her mouth hit Li Hao's shoulder and it felt so painful. She took the initiative to kiss Li Hao. She never thought that this Li Hao would actually return the favor. She took the initiative to withdraw, which directly made Zhu Wan feel sullen and a little angry. What are you doing? There was a mosquito biting me, so I gave in. Li Hao said directly and found a reason. But when Li Hao said these words, everyone was immediately speechless. Are there mosquitoes? How is this possible? Why are there mosquitoes in this private room? Zhu Wan heard Li Hao's words and said to Li Hao again. An excuse, absolutely an excuse. Okay. How about starting over? Zhu Wan expressed doubts about this, but immediately said to Li Hao that she had to do it all over again. No. Didn't you already kiss me just now? Li Hao saw the scene and said quickly. Didn't you get a kiss? Zhu Wan heard this and said weakly. You kissed me. Didn't you kiss my arm? That should count, right? Li Hao suddenly said again. Arm. When Zhu Wan heard Li Hao's words, she couldn't help but be stunned again, and she was also a little speechless. Does this count? Does the arm count? Immediately, Zhu Wan said weakly again. Of course it counts. There's no rule that says you have to kiss on the face. Of course the arms also count. Don't you think so? Li Hao said directly, and immediately asked Xiaoji and others. Forget it, brother Hao is right. The arms also count. Even if Wu Chaodang replied, he could naturally see that Xiaoji's face had become a little ugly. It would not be good if the feelings of the brothers in the dormitory were hurt because of this game. I guess. It's true that you didn't say where exactly you want to kiss. Next to him, Chen Tao also said aloud. Ajuan, let's do it. Don't worry. It's Xiaoji's turn again. Zhang Yun next to him also said. Oh well. After hearing the words of several people, Zhu Wan gave up and immediately said weakly, but she felt uncomfortable in her heart. Seeing this scene, Xiaoji's face improved a little, then he took the turntable directly and started spinning again. Damn it, there must be a good one. Xiaoji said directly, his eyes widened as he looked closely at the rapidly rotating turntable. Xiaoji's power was great, and the turntable continued to rotate for a little longer. After more than 10 seconds, the turntable slowly stopped. Everyone saw that the area where the pointer on the turntable finally pointed was 2 cups of self-punishment. Damn it, it's this again. Seeing this result, Xiaoji immediately cursed again and felt extremely depressed. He didn't expect that the result of his transfer would be this again. What bad luck. Hurry up, drink. Zhang Yun said directly to Xiaoji again. Just drink. Xiaoji was also cheerful and replied directly, then picked up the wine bottle and filled his glass. Then the gurgling sound started. After drinking the first cup, Xiaoji filled up the second cup, picked it up and poured it into his stomach. After 2 drinks, Xiaoji felt that his stomach was about to burst, and his whole head was a little dizzy, and he was a little drunk. He drank a lot during the meal, and now he has drank 2 bottles. Even though Xiaoji has a good drinking capacity, he still can't hold it anymore. Fortunately, at this moment, the urge to urinate came over, which made Xiaoji feel happy. He should be about to drink it all, right? I need to go to the toilet. Xiaoji said to a few people, then stood up and went to the toilet. Keep going. Zhu Wan said directly again. It's Chen Tao's turn again. Chen Tao immediately picked up the turntable and started spinning it. Wow! The turntable rotated rapidly and stopped after a while. All I saw was that the area pointed by the pointer of the turntable was clearly designated for drinking. Undoubtedly, Chen Tao's result is much better than the result of the last rotation. Hey! It's not a kiss after all. You drink. When Chen Tao saw this result, he couldn't help but smile again, and then looked at Sun Minjiao again. Chen Tao's meaning is obvious and self-evident. Just drink. Sun Minjiao was also cheerful. She directly picked up the wine glass and drank one glass. So, it was Wu Chao's turn again. The sky is spirited, the earth is spirited, Guanyin Bodhisattva will appear soon and grant me good luck. Wu Chao immediately muttered something, and actually prayed for the blessing of Bodhisattva, which was a bit funny. The next moment, Wu Chao also turned the dial directly, filled with expectations. But the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. The result of the turntable was another slap in the face. Truth or dare? The result of the will turns out to be truth or dare. If you turn to this area, you have to choose truth or dare, but whether it is truth or dare, it is the question or request raised by the next player. Truth or dare? Seeing this scene, Sun Minjiao, who was sitting next to him, suddenly had a smile on his face and said directly to Wu Chao. Well, I'll choose to tell the truth. If he took a big risk, it would be bad if the other party asked him to do something embarrassing. Okay, let me think. After hearing this, Sun Minjiao said directly, and her mind was already thinking about the questions she wanted to ask. At this time, Zhang Yun next to Sun Minjiao put her mouth to Sun Minjiao's ear again and whispered something, which made Sun Minjiao's eyes suddenly light up. Wouldn't this be good? Sun Minjiao's pretty face turned a little red, and she asked weakly to Zhang Yun beside her. What's wrong with this? They're all adults. Zhang Yun said directly. All right. Hearing this, Sun Minjiao immediately responded, then took a deep breath and looked at Wu Chao beside him. What? Holy shit. When Chen Tao and others heard Sun Minjiao's question, they couldn't help but exclaimed. Chen Tao couldn't help but look at Chen Tao, his mouth was so big, and his eyes uncontrollably glanced at Wu Chao. Even Li Hao was stunned by Sun Minjiao's question. A smile appeared on his face, wanting to see how Wu Chao would answer. At this moment, even the person involved, Wu Chao, was stunned, with his mouth open and his face turning red. How should I answer this question? What are you doing in a daze? Answer quickly. He. At this time, Zhu Wan couldn't help but said to Wu Chao. When Wu Chao heard this, he immediately took a deep breath. You guess. Wu Chao Dang said without hesitation. This is impossible. Is it a lie? You can't lie. Now this is the truth. As soon as Wu Chao's words came out, Zhu Wan, Zhang Yun and Sun Minjiao said to Wu Chao with disdain, clearly looking like they didn't believe it. You can't lie. Tell the truth. Zhu Wan and the three girls all said mockingly. Upon hearing Chen Tao's words, Wu Chao's face immediately turned red again, and he immediately retorted. I really do. Wu Chao said with great certainty. Absolutely. Okay, it's your turn again. Wu Chao directly pushed the turntable down in front of Sun Minjiao. Sun Minjiao simply turned the turntable again. Soon, the turntable stopped again, but the pointer area on the turntable pointed at blow a bottle. Well, drinking again. Seeing this result, the smile on Sun Minjiao's pretty face froze instantly. She has already drunk a lot of wine. If she continues to drink, she will probably get drunk. Hurry up, Ayu. Zhang Yun next to him said directly to Sun Minjiao. Okay, give it a go. Just get drunk. After hearing this, Sun Minjiao mustered up her courage, then picked up a bottle of wine on the table and poured it into her stomach. Sun Minjiao was about to cry, her stomach felt like it was bursting, and she really couldn't drink anymore. After drinking for more than a minute, Sun Minjiao drank almost all of the bottle of wine. So, it was Zhang Yun's turn again. Zhang Yun turned the turntable directly. However, the final result was actually the same as before. Kiss me next door. Damn it, brother Hao, your luck is too good, isn't it? Why is it like this again? Brother Hao, you won't cheat, right? When Wu Chao and Chen Tao saw this result, they immediately exclaimed and said to Li Hao, they knew that Li Hao was not an ordinary person, but a cultivator. It's also a very simple thing. Li Hao was speechless for a moment when he heard what the two said. Am I that concerned? Li Hao said lightly. Li Hao did not do anything. I am coming. That Zhang Yun said to Li Hao again. Okay. Li Hao replied directly. Ever since, Zhang Yun smoothly kissed Li Hao on the face. However, the next moment, when it was Li Hao's turn to spin the turntable, Li Hao discovered that something was wrong. Because the result of Li Hao's transfer was actually Kiss Me at Home. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 542. Why is it this again? It turned to this again. Li Hao felt something was wrong in his heart, but if he wanted to be sure, he needed to confirm it again. Come on, come on. At this time, Zhang Yun said to Li Hao again, and seemed very happy to let Li Hao kiss her. Li Hao immediately stopped hesitating and kissed Zhang Yun on the face again. So, it was Zhu Wan's turn. Zhu Wan immediately turned the turntable. But when the turntable stopped again, everyone was stunned again. Only to see that the pointer of the turntable pointed to kiss the previous one. This again. Brother Hao, what kind of luck is this? Are you sure there is no cheating? When Wu Chao and the other three saw this result, they immediately made an uproar and couldn't help but say to Li Hao. Li Hao didn't expect that it would be this result again. Is this going to end? Li Hao was speechless. Xiaoji's expression also became a little unnatural, and he even had a little doubt about Li Hao in his heart. Next to him, Zhu Wan, who had come up with this result, widened her eyes and looked at the scene in disbelief. This again? Zhu Wan said in shock. The next moment, Zhu Wan set her eyes on Li Hao again. This time, I can't avoid it, right? Zhu Wan muttered, pulling Li Hao's arm, and then kissed Li Hao again. Okay. This time, Li Hao did not avoid it, allowing Zhu Wan to kiss him on the face. But Li Hao felt more and more that something was wrong. As time passed, several people quickly took turns again. But the result was still the same as before. The result of Wu Chao's turn was either drinking alcohol as punishment or truth or dare, while Zhang Yun and Zhu Wan next to Li Hao, and even Li Hao himself, turned to kiss you over and I kiss over. Li Hao finally knew the reason. The reason why he had such a good luck in love was that he used a peach blossom charm yesterday. The effective time limit of this peach blossom charm was 3 days, and the peach blossom charm still worked. As several rounds of games went on, Wu Chao, Chen Tao and the other two had red eyes and felt dizzy. They were drunk and felt very uncomfortable. They didn't kiss the girl, but they drank a lot of wine. Later, they kept running to the toilet. After playing a few rounds, they stopped the turntable game and started shaking the dice again. As a result, Zhang Yun and the other two girls also drank a lot of wine. While they were singing, playing games and drinking. At a certain moment, the door of the private room was knocked on, and a man walked in, wearing a suit, with a work badge, and holding a walkie-talkie in his hand. Brother Chong. Seeing this man, Zhu Wan shouted directly. Xiao Wan, you haven't been here for a long time? Is this your friend? As soon as the man came in, he said to Zhu Wan. Zhu Wan nodded immediately. Yes, they are all my friends. Zhu Wan introduced them to everyone. This is brother Zhou Chong, the manager of this Crown KTV. It turned out that he was the manager of this KTV. Everyone's eyes also had a strange color. It seemed that Zhu Wan and Zhou Chong were very familiar with each other. Xiao Wan, your friends are my friends. Come, I toast you a glass. Immediately, Zhou Chong also picked up the wine glass and said to several people, looking like he was very good at handling things. Then, Wu Chao, Xiaoji and others also picked up the wine glass and drank a glass directly. Zhou Chong also drank a cup of wine happily, and then said to everyone, have fun drinking. The next moment, Zhou Chong looked at Zhu Wan again and said to her, Xiao Wan, come here, I have something to say to you. When everyone heard Zhou Chong's words, a strange color appeared on their faces, and they didn't know what the other party was going to say to Zhu Wan. Zhu Wan heard this, and she stood up without hesitation and walked to Zhou Chong's side. Then, the two went directly to the corner and whispered something. Xiao Wan, business is here. Mr. Song from Yi Yang Group is here to sing, and he specifically wants you to accompany him. It's at Emperor 666. Zhou Chong whispered to Zhu Wan. Zhu Wan was shocked when she heard this. Zhu Wan naturally knew that Song Gang of Yi Yang Group was a rich boss. He often brought customers to KTV to discuss business on weekdays, and every time he talked about business, he would call a few girls to accompany him. The previous few times he came, he wanted her to accompany him, so Zhu Wan was very familiar with him. And every time he accompanied her, Zhu Wan was happy because the other party was giving. Zhu Wan didn't expect that the other party would come again and asked him to accompany her again. Brother Chong, but my friends are here. Zhu Wan's heart moved, and she couldn't help but say again, Li Hao, Xiaoji and others are still here. If she goes to accompany other people, will it be bad? It doesn't matter. I won't accompany you for a long time, at most half an hour. Okay. I'll go over later. Upon hearing this, Zhu Wan immediately said to Zhou Chong and agreed. Zhou Chong left immediately. Later, Zhu Wan came to her seat and had 2 more drinks with several people. Well, my stomach feels a little uncomfortable. I'm going to go to the toilet outside. Zhu Wan said to the people around her that at this time, there happened to be someone in the private toilet, and Sun Minjiao had just entered. Therefore, Zhu Wan could only go to the toilet outside the private room. The next moment, Zhu Wan walked out of the private room directly. Li Hao looked at the scene with a strange look in his eyes. Although what Zhou Chong and Zhu Wan just said was very low, it could not be hidden from Li Hao's ears. Li Hao heard it clearly. Did Zhu Wan go to the toilet? She was obviously going to meet other big bosses. This was indeed the case, but Zhu Wan did not go to the toilet, but went directly to the Imperial Private Room number 666. As soon as she entered the door, Zhu Wan saw that there were many figures sitting in the private room. The figure sitting in the middle was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s, with a paunchy appearance and a fat face. He has a lot of meat and a big gold chain around his neck. He looks like a wealthy man who has suddenly become rich. This man is Song Gang of Yi Yang Group, a boss worth tens of millions. In addition to the Song Gang, there are 3 men who are about the same age as Song Gang. They all look like bosses. And at this moment, these men are all hugging each other, including beauties with good figures and beautiful looks. Sit next to them and drink with them. Moreover, these girls are all very young, looking like college students in their 20s, but their clothes are very mature, beautiful, very sexy, and even a little revealing. And these men not only held them in their arms, but their hands were not idle either, constantly roaming over their bodies. Ouch, Xiao Wan is here. Come sit here with me. When Song Gang saw Zhu Wan, he immediately looked happy and said directly to Zhu Wan again. Zhu Wan nodded after hearing this. Although she was not cold towards the Song Gang and even felt a little disgusted with it, in order to make money, she tolerated it and sat directly next to the Song Gang. Take out the QR code, please. When Zhu Wan sat down, Song Gang hugged Zhu Wan unceremoniously, took out his cell phone and said to Zhu Wan. When Zhu Wan heard this, she also took out her mobile phone. The next moment, Song Gang directly transferred the money to Zhu Wan. 2,000 arrived. Come on, Mr. Song, let me toast you. Zhu Wan picked up the wine glass and said to Song Gang again. Ha ha ha, okay. When Song Gang saw this, he immediately laughed loudly and said again. Come on, let's have a drink. Zhu Wan was also having fun and started drinking with Song Gang. So good. Song Gang saw Zhu Wan finish it off in one gulp, and immediately said with a smile, he directly kissed Zhu Wan on the face. Then, he hugged Zhu Wan with one hand, and the other hand was not idle either. While Zhu Wan was drinking with Song Gang in another private room, Xiaoji and others in private room 999 were still drinking, but Zhang Yun and Sun Minjiao also went to the toilet together. Especially that Xiaoji, who drank one glass after another, drinking sullenly. Seeing this scene, Li Hao couldn't help but shook his head again and couldn't help but let out a sigh. If Xiaoji knew that the girl he liked was actually accompanying other men at the moment, I don't know what Xiaoji would do. Thoughts? Brother Ji, why are you drinking alone? Come, I'll accompany you. I'll accompany you too. Chen Tao and Wu Chao also saw the scene and said it to Xiaoji. However, Xiaoji didn't speak, looking unhappy. He just raised the glass and poured it into his mouth. After Xiaoji finished drinking, he couldn't help but cast his eyes to the door again, his brows furrowed a little. Zhu Wan had been out for several minutes, but she hadn't come back yet. Xiaoji couldn't help but feel worried. Seeing Xiaoji like this, Li Hao couldn't bear it. Come, let us brothers have a drink too. Li Hao said directly to Xiaoji again. Xiaoji glanced at Li Hao, but said nothing. There was a bit of displeasure in his eyes, and he was a little unhappy inside, but he did not pick up the wine glass. Li Hao's wine glass was raised in the air. At this moment, the atmosphere seemed a little awkward. When Wu Chao and Chen Tao saw this scene, their brows wrinkled slightly, and they felt condensed in their hearts. What's wrong? Are you angry? Seeing this scene, Li Hao didn't care, but said with a smile. Xiaoji still didn't speak. It was obvious that he was a little angry. Ha ha. Seeing Xiaoji's look, Li Hao couldn't help but laugh again. Brother, are you angry with me just because of this woman? Li Hao asked Xiaoji again. Seeing that Xiaoji still didn't speak, but there was a hint of displeasure in his eyes, Li Hao couldn't help but shook his head again and sighed. Oh, it's not necessary. It's really not necessary. Brother, is this woman not worthy of you? But after hearing Li Hao's words, Xiaoji's face suddenly felt cold again. Li Hao, what do you mean? Xiaoji said to Li Hao in a deep voice, as if he was about to fall out. Sometimes, when looking at people, you can't just look at the surface. Is this woman not as innocent as you think? There are so many good girls in this world, there is no need to do this for her. Li Hao immediately said to Xiaoji in a deep voice. After hearing Li Hao's words, Xiaoji's face became a little ugly again. Why do you say that about her? She is the girl I like. I know whether she is good or not. Xiaoji immediately said to Li Hao coldly. Slander. Absolutely slander. In Xiaoji's view, Li Hao was clearly slandering Zhu Wan, and Xiaoji felt a little angry. Brother Hao? Brother Ji? What are you two doing? We are all brothers. As for this. When Wu Chao and Chen Tao saw this scene, they immediately tried to persuade Xiaoji. He. When Li Hao heard Xiaoji's words, he couldn't help but smile lightly again. It seems that he is meddling in his own business. I don't mean anything else. I just want to remind you for the sake of my brother. Why hasn't your girlfriend come back yet? Maybe she is with other boys? Li Hao said calmly again. Stop talking. When Xiaoji heard what Li Hao said, he immediately said it loudly, with a hint of anger in his voice. Okay, believe it or not, it's up to you. I didn't say much more immediately, that's all. As for whether you believe the Xiaoji or not, then let him. Li Hao stood up again and went outside. He had drunk too much wine and needed to drink some water. However, when Li Hao went to the toilet and passed by the private room number 666, the door of the private room was opened wide, and a man walked out of it, as if he was also going to the toilet. However, through the gap in the private room's open door, Li Hao saw the situation inside the private room. In the private room, under the shining lights, I saw a familiar woman lying in the arms of a middle-aged man. Isn't that woman Zhu Wan? Li Hao couldn't help but be startled. However, at this time, by coincidence, Zhu Wan, who was lying in the middle-aged man's arms, happened to look over inadvertently. The next moment, Zhu Wan happened to see Li Hao standing outside the door of the private room. In an instant, Zhu Wan was stunned. Li Hao? Zhu Wan's face suddenly turned aside, showing a look of panic. She didn't expect that Li Hao would see her drinking with other people here. This is no longer good. If Li Hao told Xiaoji and the others about this, it would be over. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 543. Li Hao inadvertently saw the situation in private room number 666, and even saw Zhu Wan lying in the arms of a middle-aged man. Li Hao couldn't help but feel condensed in his heart. The next moment, by coincidence, Zhu Wan in the private room also saw Li Hao outside the door. With just one glance, Zhu Wan's face became extremely ugly, and her originally rosy face even turned a little pale. It would not be good if this Li Hao told her what happened in the private room here. What would Xiaoji and the others think? Zhu Wan and Li Hao glanced at each other and saw a coldness in Li Hao's eyes. Zhu Wan immediately became panicked again. What to do? What do I do? Soon, Zhu Wan thought of a way, just refused to admit it, and it would not be seen by Xiaoji. Mr. Song, I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be back later. Immediately, Zhu Wan stood up and said to Song Gang beside her. You haven't even had a few glasses of wine yet. I feel so comfortable. It's really disappointing. Go, go, go. When Song Gang heard Zhu Wan's words, the smile on his face froze, and he said in a deep voice, this is so happy to drink and so comfortable to touch, but Song Gang felt a little unhappy. Oh, Mr. Song, I'll be back soon. When Zhu Wan heard this, she immediately kissed Song Gang on the face again. Then she turned around and immediately felt her butt being slapped again. It was clearly Song Gang's action. Zhu Wan didn't care about this and left the private room directly. And this time, Li Hao had already gone to the toilet, with a faint sneer still on his lips. Thinking of the scene just now, it was a bit eye-catching. How would Xiaoji feel if he saw it? However, Li Hao decided to bury what he saw in his heart and would not say it out loud. He had already reminded Xiaoji of what he should have reminded him. It was Xiaoji's own business to believe it or not. His good intentions were regarded as nothing, and Li Hao couldn't help but shook his head again. However, when Li Hao drained the water from the toilet, a woman jumped directly towards him. Li Hao's eyes widened, and he reacted very quickly. He blocked the woman's face with his hand. Li Hao naturally saw clearly who the woman was, and his expression suddenly darkened again. Isn't this woman who is rushing toward him Zhu Wan? Moreover, this Zhu Wan's clothes are still a little disheveled and a little messy. Li Hao, you just saw it, right? Zhu Wan Dang asked Li Hao. What? When Li Hao heard Zhu Wan's words, he couldn't help but have a puzzled look on his face. Just in the private room. Zhu Wan said again. Well, of course I saw it, but don't worry, I don't care about you at all, but I still advise you not to harm my brother. Li Hao didn't cover up at all, he just said in a deep voice, reminding Zhu Wan. It's not what you think. That's my friend in this private room. I didn't harm your brother. It was Xiaoji who insisted on being here. I didn't say I wanted to be his girlfriend. When Zhu Wan heard Li Hao's words, her face hardened again, and she said directly and coldly. When Li Hao heard this, his expression immediately turned cold again. Then you'd better tell him clearly. Then, stay away from my brother. Li Hao was a little angry at this moment, and immediately said to Zhu Wan in a cold voice. Oh, don't be angry. I will make it clear, as long as you don't tell him. Please. Seeing that Li Hao was a little angry, Zhu Wan looked pitiful again, and even pulled Li Hao's arm and said begging to Li Hao. As long as you don't tell him, you can do whatever you want. I can even stay with you for one night. Okay. Zhu Wan said shyly to Li Hao again, and kept pulling Li Hao's arm and shaking her. Li Hao could even clearly feel the feeling coming from his arms. Looking at this scene, Li Hao couldn't laugh, and his face turned dark. Nausea. Li Hao's eye felt a little sick. This queen of the sea actually still cares about her body? Get out of the way, don't disgust me here. Li Hao said directly. Li Hao shook off Zhu Wan's arm, and then prepared to leave directly. At this moment, Zhu Wan's complexion became extremely ugly again, and there was a touch of coldness on her pretty face. Hateful. Zhu Wan said loudly to Li Hao. Li Hao, very good. You forced me to do it? We'll see. Zhu Wan said fiercely to Li Hao, and she immediately broke up with Li Hao at this moment. After saying that, Zhu Wan jumped in front of Li Hao and ran away. Li Hao looked at the scene with cold eyes, but he didn't care. Li Hao wanted to see what Zhu Wan was going to do. Li Hao really didn't care at all. If his brother hadn't been there, Li Hao wouldn't even have come. Li Hao slowly headed towards the private room number 999 again. Zhu Wan burst into private room number 999 crying, looking very sad, and her clothes were a bit messy. She deliberately pulled her clothes off when she was just outside the door. Woo woo woo. Seeing this scene, the expressions of Xiaoji and others immediately changed. Ajuan, why are you crying? What's going on? Why are you crying when you go to the toilet? Did you fall down in the toilet? When Zhang Yun and Sun Minjiao saw this scene, they couldn't help but said to Zhu Wan. Ajuan, what's wrong? Xiaoji next to him saw that the girl he liked came in crying, and his face suddenly showed a heavy look, and he asked Zhu Wan with concern. But Zhu Wan didn't answer, she kept crying, and then she threw herself into Xiaoji's arms. When Xiaoji saw this, he hugged Zhu Wan tightly and kept stroking Zhu Wan's back with one hand. Stop crying, stop crying. Ajuan, tell me, what's going on? I'm here. Xiaoji was next to Zhu Wan again and said softly, his voice filled with immense concern. Xiaoji, someone is bullying me. After hearing Xiaoji's words, Zhu Wan immediately cried again and said. What? Someone bullied you? Damn, who is it? Tell me. I'll kill him. When Xiaoji heard what Zhu Wan said, he became angry and said sternly. The hearts of Wu Chao and others beside him suddenly condensed. Was this Zhu Wan being bullied? Who is it? Ajuan, who is it? Let's help you vent your anger. Yes, Ajuan. Next to them, the two women Zhang Yun and Sun Minjiao also spoke out. At this moment, everyone's eyes fell on Zhu Wan. Zhu Wan raised her head, hesitated for a moment, and said again with tears in her eyes. Xiaoji, what kind of brother do you have? As soon as Zhu Wan's words came out, everyone was shocked and Xiaoji frowned. Why do you say that? Even Xiaoji was a little confused. It's Li Hao? It's that Li Hao? I just came out of the toilet and happened to meet him. As a result, he actually hugged me directly, pressed me against the wall, and kept kissing me. And his hand was actually inside my clothes. He actually wanted to do something wrong with me. I was really scared to death, and I finally broke away from him and ran back. Zhu Wan immediately said again, what she said was affectionate and touching, and in the eyes of everyone, she was extremely pitiful. What? Li Hao? When Xiaoji heard Zhu Wan's words, he suddenly stood up from his seat. Immediately, his whole face turned dark, and he said sternly. There was also anger in his eyes, and he seemed to be unable to suppress it. The girl he liked was molested by his brother? This made Xiaoji immediately angry. What? Is it brother Hao? This is impossible, right? How could it be brother Hao? Are you sure you're not mistaken? At this time, Wu Chao and Chen Tao, who were standing next to them, saw that something was wrong, and immediately frowned and said to Zhu Wan. Both of them didn't believe that Li Hao could do such a thing. Ajuan, there must be a mistake, right? Is it someone else? Zhang Yun next to him also asked aloud. You're not mistaken. It's him. Wu. Even though you're drunk, you can't be like this. He'll be here soon. If you don't believe me, ask him. But, he will definitely not admit it. Wu. Zhu Wan said directly and with great certainty, which made her burst into tears. That's unreasonable. It's okay, Ajuan, don't worry, I'm here. I'll give you an explanation. At this time, Li Hao next to him, his expression had become extremely gloomy, and he said to Zhu Wan again. Yeah. I know you are the best. Zhu Wan nodded and said to Xiaoji, lowering her head, but another sneer appeared on the corner of her mouth. She came in deliberately and said this, because Li Hao bumped into her, but she didn't know what was wrong, so Zhu Wan directly wanted to embarrass Li Hao, so she came up with this method. I have to say that although she majored in music, she also had a talent for acting. After crying like this and saying this again, Xiaoji and the others really believed her. Brother Ji, what are you going to do? Don't be impulsive. There must be some misunderstanding. When Wu Chao and Chen Tao saw this scene, they immediately spoke to each other. Both sides are brothers, and there was some unhappiness in the game just now. If the conflict is caused by this woman and the brotherhood is affected, it will be really bad. However, Xiaoji was so angry at this moment that he even lost his mind and did not listen to what Wu Chao and the two said. It's the next moment again. The door of the private room was opened again, and Li Hao's figure walked in from the outside. At this moment, several people's eyes fell directly on Li Hao. Li Hao didn't know what happened in the private room just now, let alone what Zhu Wan said, but when Li Hao looked at the eyes and faces of several people, something seemed wrong. Li Hao's heart suddenly condensed and his brows wrinkled slightly. What's wrong? Li Hao asked directly to several people in confusion. Li Hao. It's useless for me to treat you as a good brother. You actually touched Ajuan. You also plotted against her. What kind of brothers are you? Don't you know that your friends' wives should not be bullied? Xiaoji said angrily to Li Hao directly, his eyes were red. When Li Hao heard Xiaoji's words, he was stunned. What? Should I touch Zhu Wan? Want to plot something against her? Li Hao was a little confused and his brows furrowed. Li Hao couldn't help but look at Zhu Wan, who was held in Xiaoji's arms, and Zhu Wan's provocative and cold eyes. Li Hao immediately understood. Framed. This is a frame up by Chi Kuokyo. Li Hao didn't expect that he would bump into this Zhu Wan, and that this Zhu Wan would actually do this. Is this considered the villain's first complaint? Hee hee. Li Hadang laughed again. Am I plotting against you? Haha, what a joke. My girlfriend's appearance and figure are countless times better than yours, and I am plotting against you. You don't even look in the mirror. I didn't know who was lying on the bed just now. The big boss was in his arms, and I just happened to catch him. Even though Li Hadang said in a deep voice, he was not belittling Zhu Wan. Li Hao was just stating a fact. Immediately, Li Hao looked straight at Xiaoji again. Brother, do you believe this too? Li Hao couldn't help but ask Xiaoji again. He's talking nonsense. Xiaoji, don't listen to his nonsense. He really wanted to cheat on me just now and tore off my clothes. Hearing Li Hao's words, Zhu Wan spoke quickly. As she spoke, she pulled the collar of her clothes to show Xiaoji that there were indeed some cracks and threads on the collar. Immediately, Xiaoji, who was still a little hesitant, became furious again. That's unreasonable. Li Hao, I really misjudged you. Xiaoji said angrily to Li Hao. When Li Hao heard Xiaoji's words, he immediately said in a solemn voice, So, do you believe her words? Of course I believe her. What can't you do when you're drunk? Xiaoji immediately said again. He had also drank. At this moment, he was so aroused that he couldn't control his emotions and became excited. Brother Ji, I'm afraid there is a misunderstanding. It's impossible for Brother Hao to do this. Next to them, Wu Chao and Chen Tao saw the situation and immediately spoke out again. They were still standing here and did not believe what Zhu Wan said. He. When Li Hao saw this scene, he couldn't help but shook his head and sighed again. Well, the facts are there, believe it or not. Unexpectedly, I also saw the wrong person. After Li Hao finished speaking, he turned around and prepared to leave here directly. There was no point in staying any longer. However, at this moment, bang! Suddenly there was a huge roar at the door. The door to the private room was actually kicked open from the outside.